Chapter 681 Battle. Fight each other. This guy. Kinshiki frowned slightly. And Momoshiki behind him also slowly scooped up. Momoshiki stood in the air and fell, standing on Kinshiki's broad shoulders. The master-servant relationship between the two can be completely seen at a glance. And Neji also looked directly at Momoshiki. The so-called dog also depends on the owner, this is the truth. Since he was forced to fight Kinshiki, he didn't hide it at all, and chuckled a few times directly at Momoshiki. Hehe, finally met. Guys from the Otsutsuki clan. But at this time, Neji still didn't know what the two guys were doing. These eyes. Momoshiki murmured, narrowing his eyes. He seemed to be thinking about something in his heart, and after 2 seconds, he said, could it be that guy Kagaya has left a splinter body in this world? No, this feeling, you feel the same as that Uchiha Sasuke next to you. You're a ninja, you're a human. Impossible. Momoshiki's pupils are like an earthquake. Kinshiki, on the other hand, remained expressionless, as if it had nothing to do with him. Sasuke on the side stepped forward, put the knife across his chest, and said in a low voice, Neji, that big guy is a physique type, the guy floating in the sky doesn't know his ability, but his detection ability is very strong. My eyes, I can feel. Sasuke squinted at Rinnegan on his left and aimed his gaze at Momoshiki behind Kinshiki. Neji sighed knowingly, shrugged, and said, I see, then leave the physique to me, and you can test the other guy's abilities. Well, I know. Sasuke's eyes slowly moved down again to look at Kinshiki. Momoshiki seemed to have doubts after thinking for a while, and then said to Kinshiki, Kinshiki, take away the human who has Byakugan, the other one can be killed, just leave Rinnegan. Thorn. Yes. Kinshiki answered, he was ready to do it. However, Sasuke and Neji make quicker shots over there. Neji. Understood. Huh. This is. I saw it for a moment, just like a moment of falling into darkness. Kinshiki under Momoshiki has disappeared. Instead, Sasuke staring at Rinnegan. PFF'd. He was holding Chidori and attacking straight up, while Momoshiki was startled and immediately retreated. Bang. On the other side, Kinshiki, who had just been transferred, was hit by Neji's heavy slap. The loud explosion generated a strong airflow, which disturbed Momoshiki's movements in the air. Whoosh. I saw Chidori in the assistant stretched out, like a sword, almost piercing Momoshiki's body. Momoshiki avoided the attack in a thrilling way, and said in surprise, the lines on this are. On Sasuke's Chidori long sword of thunder and lightning, the black curse mark was beating vigorously. What is this? What is? Who? Momoshiki reacted and immediately retreated to the rear. Sasuke's long sword stretched again, but it slashed from Momoshiki's side in a thrilling way. Interesting. Momoshiki seemed to realize that the enemy in front of him was not simply possessing Rinnegan, and he held out his hand with a corner of his mouth. After the 5 fingers were opened and slightly bent, a Yuhi heart ball appeared in the palm of his hand. From a small bead, it suddenly became larger, and it was half a meter in diameter at once, and it was quickly dropped towards Sasuke. Go to hell. Momoshiki's mouth twitched. Boom. The sphere was thrown towards the ground, making a dull explosion. The ground collapsed in, and the smoke and dust scattered. And Momoshiki is also very confident that he can solve the enemy below with one move, so he immediately put his eyes on the other side. On the other side Neji is shaking with Kinshiki, speed and power are pulled to ultimate. Momoshiki was about to float over, and was startled. Huh. He sensed that something huge was approaching behind him. I saw a huge purple arm, punching like a Gundam robot. Momoshiki hurriedly dodged and floated up again. And the arm couldn't grasp it, and slowly dissipated. I saw that Sasuke was standing behind the original Momoshiki, staring at Momoshiki, full of murderous intent. Hey, what a nice look. Momoshiki was slightly unhappy. It's just that he was puzzled again. His attack speed should be far beyond the reaction of people on this planet. Why was he avoided so easily? Looking at Sasuke's appearance, he did not resist the attack, but easily avoided it. He stared at the blown-up ground on that side, where there were some stone chips left, and remembered that there was a huge lion statue where Sasuke was standing now. So that's it, is this guy's Rinnegan ability. On the other side, heavy blows hit the hard body again and again. Bang! There was a shock in the air, shockingly. Boom! Another slap. Neji struggled away, a little surprised. Otsutsuki Kinshiki in front of him has a body as hard as a piece of iron. Even his own precise attack on the acupoints was not very effective. Oh, what material is your body made of? Aluminum alloy. So hard. Neji leaned over with his head tilted and tapped Kinshiki twice, as if looking at an underripe watermelon. Kinshiki, on the other hand, stared at Neji with a proud look, ignoring him at all. Neji snorted and smiled. This fat brother, why are you so serious? I'm just talking to you. It's been a long time since I had a fight. I'm a little rusty. Neji is telling the truth. Neji has been living a happy life with Ino in Konoha village since he married Ino. This is also a promise to Ino. Neji, as a man who dares to be a good man, naturally cannot break his promise. It's just the downside, that his strength hasn't improved much for so long, and he's still in the quasi-saint stage. But, dealing with this kind of guy, he may not have no confidence. Boom. This time, it was Kinshiki punching him. Neji, on the other hand, used chakra to avoid obstacles, but was knocked back by more than 20 meters. Huh. Neji landed in the air. Kinshiki's figure was already in front of him. Not only is this guy amazing in strength and defense, but his speed is somewhat unexpected for Neji. Neji now finally understands why Sasuke was chased and beaten by Kinshiki, because he possessed the power of the sky. Boom. Kinshiki punched down, however, the punch made no waves. He was startled, only to see his fist hit hard on a thick wall of dark blue chakra. And that chakra, in addition to being sturdy on the outside, is still spinning rapidly inside. Chapter 682 New Technique. Fail. The first time, surprise appeared in Kinshiki's eyes. Neji, on the other hand, sneered and said, "You finally looked a little surprised. I thought you were born with facial paralysis." Yes, it feels good. Neji felt that his surging blood was back. It's been too long since he fought seriously. After confirming the opponent's strength, Neji has realized that the enemy in front of him is not something that can be solved by 3 melons and 2 dates, and must be real. Ziz. Revolving heaven spinning around Neji immediately, Kinshiki felt the power of that chakra and stepped back. And Neji recalled his previous battles, surprising his opponent time and time again. This is the rhythm that Neji is familiar with. He twitched the corner of his mouth and said, "Although I haven't fought for a long time, it's not that I haven't grown at all. Let you try this new move, cherish it." Neji stretched out his hand and saw that chakra of revolving heaven was pushing towards Kinshiki. The speed is so fast that even Kinshiki can't escape. Ziz. This is Neji's move based on Naruto's Rasenshuriken. He substitutes revolving heaven into Rasengan, and like Rasengan, throws it at the enemy from a distance. But the difference is that Naruto uses the power of his own hands, while Neji uses the time and space displacement of Yinden Bishamonten, so it is difficult to react under the condition of extremely fast speed. However, the disadvantage of this technique is also obvious, that is, the starting action of revolving heaven is too slow. Unlike Rasengan, revolving heaven is not an instant technique, and it is a technique suitable for both offense and defense. But the advantages are also very obvious. Once released, the enemy is absolutely unable to escape. Ziz. Revolving heaven spins around Kinshiki's body and explodes. The more swelled, when the chakra spread out, the lethality was weakened to a certain extent. So Kinshiki continued to clench his fists, and the iron-like body of King Kong was not shaken by this strong chakra. Buzz. Kinshiki frowned and saw that he was in Neji's revolving heaven. He was a little puzzled. This move was obviously a defensive move. Why was he protecting himself at the moment? Are you applying defensive spells to the enemy? Meaningless moves. Kinshiki murmured as if for Neji's provocation just now. But then, inside that huge revolving heaven, which seemed to be that big, radiated chakra rays. Huh. Chakra is like a bullet, coming towards Kinshiki. Kinshiki clenched his fists again, his body is iron. Whoa 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 whoa. Countless chakra rays came from the surface, but when they hit Kinshiki, it was painless. Each time, although it is an almost fatal attack for ordinary people, for Kinshiki, who has the indestructible body of King Kong, it is just a tickling. Outside of revolving heaven, Neji, who is in hand seal, slowly drew a charming arc at the corner of his mouth. He smiled and said, "It is true that my revolving heaven is used for defense, but the defense explained in this way can ensure that no attack can penetrate my revolving heaven when defending against attacks. Then, I am trapped by revolving heaven. It is absolutely impossible to forcibly break through revolving heaven with force." Quote. As for the chakra attack, because revolving heaven itself is a defensive ninjutsu, there is no way to win with quality. Then, but you can gain an advantage with quantity. But even Kagaya couldn't resist this move. I don't know if your body can handle it. After all, this is the first time I've used this move, so I'll use you first. 8 trigrams revolving heaven acupuncture array. Boom. The power within revolving heaven exploded. Kinshiki rolled his eyes and said, "Nani?" I saw that the chakra rays that originally hit him did not disappear, but covered the hard coating on his body, using the number of chakra rays to cover every corner. The so-called world has no impermeable wall. Even if your body is not broken, it will be penetrated by my chakra. It looks like a defensive art, but is it actually an offensive art that can destroy all defenses? Kinshiki frowned slightly, as if realizing something was wrong. The so-called indestructible body of King Kong is also something that needs to be maintained by using its own chakra. If it is destroyed, the body will become extremely fragile in front of this level of enemies. So, Kinshiki isn't going to sit still either. Ah! He roared this, as if he was about to rise up. Reaching out his hands, he took out the yuhi-colored axe behind him. After closing his eyes and frowning, the yuhi-colored axe split into two. 2 yuhi axes were held in Kinshiki's hands and slashed. I saw that yuhi-colored axe slashed, but it couldn't destroy the extremely defensive revolving heaven. And Kinshiki thought of something, and in a hurry, he jumped up. The surrounding revolving heaven is still emitting countless chakras to him. And follow Kinshiki away. He slammed into revolving heaven. What mattered? There was even fresh yuhi-colored blood all around the body. King Kong's indestructible body declared destruction. Neji's proprietary corrosive chakra around his body, after coming into contact with revolving heaven, actually caused revolving heaven's thick defense to avoid obstacles, and cracks appeared. At this point, Kinshiki finally succeeded. He sighed, and slashed down with a double axe. Bang! The air rubbed violently, and Neji leapt backwards. Byakugan squinted. Everything that happened just now is clearly visible. After being a little surprised, he smiled softly. Looks like you're at least a lot smarter than Otsutsuki Kagaya, not just brute force. After the smoke cleared, Kinshiki gasped and squatted about 20 meters in front of Neji. Around the ground is a huge circular block created by Neji's revolving heaven. Neji explained, my radioactive chakras were created in revolving heaven using my own power, because I couldn't use my own power to join revolving heaven, so I used revolving heaven's own solid defensive power translates into pervasive corrosive chakra. The erosive chakra that destroys even your Vajra body does have a powerful effect on my own revolving heaven. It's just that Neji didn't expect that the people of the Otsutsuki family are also very grandmasters. In this desperate situation, he actually came up with this staggering tactic. Use the power of the enemy to use the power of the enemy, and it's fun. It seems that my technique failed. Kinshiki also stood up slowly. The traces of blood on his body have evaporated and disappeared. Neji narrowed his eyes slightly at this terrifying resilience. He sensed that on Sasuke's side, Momoshiki also burst out with an amazing amount of chakra, so it can't be delayed any longer. Seeing Kinshiki preparing to shoot again, Neji's mouth twitched. However, I didn't say that the whole of the art is only this step. Neji smiled confidently, and already made the gesture of sinking. Chapter 683 Divine Power. Alien Nemesis. Nani? Kinshiki panicked. Because at this time, a green formation has appeared under his feet. The mysterious pattern of the 8 trigrams opened a grand light underground. The surrounding light was so dazzling that Kinshiki couldn't help covering his eyes with his hands. Neji chuckled. This is my Byakugan's special chakra. My Byakugan is not inferior to yours, so even you can't resist this light. Is this ability similar to infinite Tsukuyomi? Neji's mouth twitched. His eyes can see through the nature and flow of chakra. It's not just the color of chakra, but a very subtle level. At that time, Neji deliberately entered infinite Tsukuyomi, just to use his own eyes to look directly at the infinite Tsukuyomi used by Madara. That's right, Neji wants to use his Byakugan to completely see through the light released by infinite Tsukuyomi, the light that can penetrate any material except yin and yang, and what kind of chakra is formed. Because Kagaya is the ancestor of chakra, since it is Kagaya's move, it must be formed by using chakra. This is also the reason why yin and yang escape cannot be penetrated, that is to say, no matter how powerful infinite Tsukuyomi is, no matter how powerful the chakra peak is, he is still chakra himself. Is fundamentally different from divine power, sage art, yin-yang escape, etc. In the advanced eyes of Neji, this kind of chakra quality can be deciphered in the long history of infinite Tsukuyomi. Unfortunately, at that time, I didn't have the patience to stay in the world of infinite Tsukuyomi for 30 days. Because I was in a hurry to come out, I didn't complete my original plan. I can't be a complete master of this light, just a little, but just a little, and you can temporarily enter infinite Tsukuyomi. Just a moment. Neji's eyes firm up. In this kind of battle between masters, the outcome is often only in an instant. Neji's purpose wasn't to defeat Kinshiki in the first place. He has more important things to do, and that is his left eye. There are some signs of blackening at the moment. Not yet, Neji muttered. Kinshiki hasn't had time to respond, so it's too late, it's fast. That light bloomed in all directions, directly penetrating Kinshiki's body. Even a body as thick as an iron wall can't defend against this light. It's a terrifying technique, but it's just like that. Neji finally knew Madara's feelings at this moment. In the face of powerful power, all legendary things are so frivolous and vulnerable. Even in front of the Otsutsuki clan. Kinshiki was startled and bit Kiba. He snorted, "This kind of thing can't hold me for long." Afterwards, his eyes became Rinnegan's, while Sasuke on the other side bit Kiba. What is it? He took a few steps back, nearly getting hit by Momoshiki's orb of energy. Sasuke covered his left eye, seemed to feel pain, and was always on guard against Momoshiki, who was watching him closely. Kinshiki's physical skills are very strong. I know that kid looks good at physical skills, but Kinshiki's body is not something you guys can compete with mere physical skills. Haha. And Momoshiki, very proud. On the other hand, Neji also noticed that Sasuke couldn't hold on. But he couldn't bite Kiba for a while, and murmured, "Sasuke, it's up to you. Although I'm sorry, I stole the light of infinite Tsukuyomi at the time, and I also stole part of Rinnegan's chakra, so it is the same cause as Madara. Dara is reincarnated, and your Rinnegan will also be affected by this chakra. But please hold on while I do that." Quote. Neji was slapped by Urashi before because of his expansion, so he didn't dare to slack off with these guys from the Otsutsuki clan. He really didn't know what strange things would happen. It only takes 5 seconds. Neji's gesture sank, and the aperture below shined again. This time, instead of the penetrating light of infinite Tsukuyomi, it was the ordinary burst of 8 trigrams. Divine power 8 trigrams 256 palms. Neji didn't dare to slack off, and directly used the most powerful palm technique. Boom. Bang 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 bang. Each palm was hit from a distance, and because it was all about body positions, Neji only used the vacuum palm to make light hits in place. Anyway, the end point of the 8 trigrams palm is the hit on the acupuncture point. Although the acupuncture points of the Otsutsuki clan are a bit strange, they are generally the same as those of humans. Although many acupuncture points are specially protected, as long as they hit a little bit, Neji has a chance to break his defense. Boom. With more than 100 palms out, Kinshiki's body seems to be riddled with holes, but up close, it is still intact. 5 seconds. 4 seconds. 3 seconds. 2 seconds. 1 second. Neji hurry up and hit the last palm. Boom. Kinshiki jumped out of infinite Tsukuyomi immediately. Neji was startled, and immediately jumped towards the rear. And Kinshiki roared. Ooh. Bang. The huge impact sound caused the air to emit shock waves of unimaginable shock intensity. Neji narrowed his eyes, waiting for the dust to dissipate. After the smoke cleared, Neji exhaled slowly. And Kinshiki over there snorted softly. Neji, who underestimated the enemy and put down his attack, Kinshiki laughed loudly. You are too confident, you think you can defeat me with this move. My defense. Ah. He was startled and rolled his eyes. Just looked straight at Neji over there, and Neji had already laughed and said easily, how? Ah. Kinshiki vomited blood, a mouthful of blood. Then he got down on one knee. Neji laughed, it's divine power. You guys. Neji walked over slowly, with evil intent in his eyes. Kinshiki, on the other hand, was a little anxious, knelt down on one knee, raised his head, and was about to overcome the pain. Amazing. Can't move. He noticed that something was wrong. Although his body was not substantially damaged, the inside was damaged. Moreover, as a very important acupuncture point for the Otsutsuki family, it was also shackled by Neji, unable to mobilize the powerful defensive power in the body. He watched Neji come step by step, but there was nothing he could do. Neji said, are you blind? You keep saying that the chakra of this planet belongs to you, but I am not using chakra now, and I don't use that kind of power uncommonly. Let you see the real power. This divine power, your body can't defend against it, right? My divine power, but it is specially used to deal with you foreigners. This is the nemesis of you foreigners. Chapter 684 Award. Super S-Class Mall. Neji said, and has already arrived in front of Kinshiki. His eyes were full of curiosity about Kinshiki. Inside this sturdy and huge shell, some secrets are more or less revealed. Neji can't wait to enter him, explore the secret passages in his body, and see where it leads. Who knows, at this time, there is a huge noise. Bang! Sasuke took a dozen steps back, and Susanoo slowly fell off until he squinted slightly. He bit Kiba and said, damn, has Rinnegan's ability been used too many times? It seems that it will take time to recover. I don't know how long it will last. How long will Neji hide his strength? Sasuke was a little upset, but he still understood. The current Neji has definitely not shown his original true power, just for some reason, he wants to do something with Kinshiki. As for what to do, Sasuke naturally doesn't know. The tacit understanding between the two is also perfect. After all, after the 4 ninja wars, Neji and Sasuke began to like the feeling of cooperation with each other, so they still learned from each other many times, and when doing some occasional exercises, Neji also liked Sasuke's heavenly hand strength, let Sasuke demonstrate to him many times. This is why Neji is very clear about Sasuke's thoughts. Sasuke always feels that Neji understands this powerful ability very well. If it wasn't for Neji without Rinnegan, Sasuke would even suspect that this guy could even use the heavenly hand. Because he is so powerful. But at the end of the day, Sasuke thinks, is it possible that Neji has learned the power of heaven? The abnormality of the past year, he actually wanted to let himself and him learn from each other, and he has heard and seen it. Neji seems to have the ability to steal the skills of the enemy that he is fighting against, but Rinnegan's ability can also be master. Sasuke gasped for a moment, but realized that it was Momoshiki who was on the side. Seeing Kinshiki in distress, he planned to lend a helping hand. He snorted coldly and said, "The physique of the Otsutsuki clan cannot belong to the garbage of this world." He held up an energy sphere, and his eyes shone with fresh Yuhi light. Then, squeeze firmly. Bang! The Yuhi-colored sphere exploded. At this moment, it seemed that a slight change had been made somewhere in the world, but there was no way to know where the change was made. Neji, who was about to start, noticed something was wrong. Boom! Kinshiki, who had been imprisoned for a while, suddenly shook the ground. Underneath, the powerful shock force that was prohibited from being thrown around, smashed a deep garden pit. This. Neji stepped back immediately, he didn't feel right. This power is probably stronger than the chakra episode of Chibaku Tensei, heavenly body bursting from the earth, that I saw before. And it came out of nowhere. These Otsutsuki clan are indeed monsters. Although I am not afraid of being hurt by this power, I cannot let this power destroy this piece. Neji deliberately felt that the power that erupted in Kinshiki at this moment deliberately destroyed everything in this area in an instant. These guys are not the same, they are not fighting on their own planet. So they can wreak havoc. This is where I fear the most. Boom. In an instant, Neji moved to Yuhi's hair. Such a fast time and space technique, like a flash of light. Like this guy from Rinnegan, does Byakugan's guy also have such a powerful time and space technique? But it's not like the Imperial Palace. Momoshiki over there, and Neji's chakra was shocked, so he was able to give Sasuke a chance to breathe. Baby. A knife split open, and Momoshiki broke free. PFF'd. Like thousands of birds chirping in unison, the black Chidori blasted off the blade, sending Momoshiki straight away. Isn't this sword already destroyed? And Sasuke also fell to the ground, threw the scroll in his hand, and said, "The real weapon is to be used at a critical time. It seems that you are indeed worthy of me to use this sword of the sky." The sword in the assistant is extremely sharp. Momoshiki was taken aback and said in surprise, "Huh. This sword looks 1,000 times better than the previous one. Is it a treasure in this world? Interesting." Momoshiki, again no time to watch the fight over there. Start to deal with Sasuke seriously. And this was Sasuke's helpless act. His Rinnegan was affected by the light of the Neji array, and Lei was in a state of exhaustion, fighting continuously, and immediately reached the limit. So I can only drag Momoshiki to ensure the success rate on Neji's side. Divine Power Revolving Heaven. Neji also didn't expect that the two powerful divine powers he mobilized at one time would be used once for 8 trigrams 256 palms and once for Revolving Heaven. One offense, one defense. But this is also impossible. Hoo-hoo. I saw the whirlwind blowing, and the surrounding chakra flowed, immediately forming an almost transparent chakra shield wall. Boom. The huge chakra energy burst open, but it was blocked by the seemingly weak Revolving Heaven. Boom. Kinshiki let out a breath and sneered, "It's actually able to defend against my domineering body, huh?" He explained, "Momoshiki unlocked my formula. Which means, now my task is to kill you completely." Bang. Another murderous aura exploded away. Neji's hair was swept away by the wind, and he was sweating. This murderous aura is quite strong, but is your autism over now? You can communicate, I thought you were an obedient fool. Neji teases Kinshiki on purpose, just to get some information. Now it seems that there is still some information to be learned. It's just that what the revealed style he was talking about remains to be verified. This guy's defense is stronger. Neji got a little impatient, and a voice suddenly popped out of his mind. Ding! Congratulations to the host. Neji immediately entered a mental state, but although the flow of the outer world slowed down, the high-intensity battle at the moment made Neji a little anxious. Don't talk nonsense, congratulations. What's the reward? Neji asked eagerly immediately. But no matter how anxious Neji is, the system is just a ruthless system. The commander follows the rules and does things rigidly. Ding! Congratulations to the host. Ability. The proficiency of divine power has reached 35W, so the divine power has been upgraded to the state of supernatural. The advanced skills of the host's actual combat can be rewarded according to the host's strength level. The strength of the hesitant host has reached the quasi-sage level, and for the first time in the quasi-sage stage, the strength has been improved to superb, so the host can be rewarded with a Super S-level proficiency top mal reward. What the hell is this? Neji got impatient. It's so annoying, it's playing. The host can use 100 million proficiency in exchange for the following rewards. Chapter 685 Explore. Memories of Kinshiki. 100 million proficiency. Neji is a little helpless, but fortunately, he has enough proficiency to save 100 million, so he is not afraid at all. Anyway, in the face of this kind of place, you may need useful abilities, but it is still helpful. 1. It can help the host to strengthen the strength and get closer to the strength of the saint. 2. The host can be rewarded with an artifact of the same level as the 8-foot mirror and the 10-fist sword. 3. The host's eye-cleaning ability can be greatly advanced and upgraded. Neji himself wasn't much interested in the first two, but the third one caught his eye. The first is not to directly enter the saint stage, and it is not clear how many stages Neji has. At this level of strength, you basically know that it depends on your understanding, and it may not necessarily explode when it suddenly occurs, so this thing is even more unreliable than you. And the second, not to mention. Neji's magic is enough, it's enough to be strong, why do you want magic? The third one is different. Now Neji, what he has to do, just needs the ability to clear his eyes. From the point of view of Shiro, Urashi, Kagaya and others, Neji has already speculated that his ability to clear eyes is to cut into the minds of places, steal memory and spiritual world, and it is very compulsory to enter, which is simply invincible in this regard. And in front of him is the bulky warrior of the Otsutsuki clan. The so-called specialization means that when cultivating one thing, reaching the ultimate at the same time means the weakening of other abilities. Kinshiki before the physical ability is so weak, the mental strength will be quite weak. Weak enough to be unmatched, there can be such a big difference to let all the strength of the body hit the attack and defense in the melee game. So what Neji has to do is get as much information as possible about the Otsutsuki clan from Kinshiki. If this fanboy does not solve it, there will be more things and problems to face. I choose 3. Conversation and hesitation time. It took Neji more than half a minute in total. That is to say, in the real world now, Neji has been deadlocked for about 0.5 seconds, but this time is enough for the opponent to attack. Effective. Neji immediately pulled away from the spiritual world. Boom. Sure enough, the air made a humming vibration, and Kinshiki had arrived. Neji frowned slightly and twitched the corner of his mouth again. It is indeed a very tricky attack, but it seems that the set I put is not wasted. Boom. Because Kinshiki's speed was too fast, he broke through Revolving Heaven's defense directly. And this is also the reason why Neji failed to hit Chakra because of distraction, but he was stopped by the formation outside. What is this? Whoa, whoa, whoa. I saw green fluorescence emerge from the 8 trigrams array, wrapping around Kinshiki like a thread. And Neji's actions were also restrained. He bit Kiba and groaned. It's just a trick, you have failed. He smiled confidently, and the green fluorescence all around disappeared. Like water meeting a fiery flame, it dries up in an instant. And Neji ticked the corner of his mouth and said, however, that's enough. It's enough to control you for 1 second. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Neji open, the art of spiritualization. Whistling by. It was like a bolt of lightning, passing through Kinshiki's body. Kinshiki just snorted coldly and said, it doesn't matter what kind of divine power you are or what, my body is already invincible. But his voice just fell. The body is torn apart. Surroundings were like Gaara's sand armor, completely shattered. And Kinshiki is also swaying in the wind, at a loss. What is happening? Neji stood behind Kinshiki and turned his head away. Huh. Once again, like a ghost, he appeared in front of Kinshiki, staring straight into Kinshiki's eyes. Divine power, sage art. The power of the origin of this world is far more than that. This is my strongest offensive move, suffocating energy. Condensing this energy into the moves, any offensive moves will have a corrosive aggressiveness. You can use both soft and hard, no matter what you can't defend. Neji's mouth twitched. Kinshiki widened his eyes and said, then why didn't you, earlier, use? His consciousness has begun to blur. Because he saw that Neji's left eye had turned black, surrounded by a bright halo like daytime. This is what? Kinshiki immediately went into a state of near stagnation. Not sleep, but stagnation. Complete stagnation. What a terrifying ability, astonishing. And Neji just said leisurely and slowly, hey, use it early. Why use it early? You are not my real enemy, just a dog of the Otsutsuki clan. Let me see besides Momoshiki over there is even more behind you. Who is the owner of? Neji said, reaching out. Just like Yamanaka Inoichi, Neji suddenly noticed something at this moment. All things come together. The so-called 9-9-1 may be the ability of all chakras. Kagaya wants to collect maybe far more than just chakra. Or, it's another battle in itself, and it's not a secret Kagaya can see. Not only chakra, all ethnic groups are gathered together because of chakra's ability. Before chakra appeared, there was no such ability, then. Will these abilities be chakra itself, that is to say? As a variation of the chakra collection product, the clear eye itself also belongs to the chakra. The true omnipotence and omniscience, or the ancestor of chakra, will not only have all the chakras, but also all the abilities that chakras can use, can pass Akatsuki. Neji boldly guessed that it had entered Kinshiki's memory. Dark, endless fit. This is a prison. Neji can only judge like this. Maybe in another interest, this kind of thing has another name. Maybe it was a special ceremony with a very high status, maybe. But in the endless darkness, Neji could only feel the existence of the prison. That is all around, enclosed spaces. And outside the enclosed space, that ruthless indifferent gaze. On the planet Otsutsuki, this Kinshiki is also a thorn in people's eyes. No. They don't seem to have emotions, they're just ruthless, higher creatures. But according to Pushi, they themselves have emotions. Just lost it later. And they all have endless lifespans, so this Kinshiki must also have emotions. The art of spiritualization. Bang. Neji hit a wall. It seems that these things that trap Kinshiki are still special materials. But Neji was determined to find out in this mental memory, so hand seal. Heaven's Royal Palace. Move. Chapter 686 Trap. Game over. Huh. Neji's mouth twitched. Although Kagaya's Heaven's Royal Palace is not applicable, because each time it is used, the amount of chakra that needs to be consumed is huge. But with just this small distance, Neji can still use it. And this is what he has achieved through countless exercises over the past year. Neji was already practicing every morning while Ino slept on the bed from last night's fight. Diligence can make up for the poor, even if it is not something from the Grandmaster Otsutsuki family. Neji is finally a master. The extra thing that the system brings to Neji, which is the diligent practice method. It really helped Neji grow too much from the side. Therefore, even in the memory of Neji's mind, he successfully escaped from the unknown cage and escaped from time and space to the outside. Om. Intense light. Neji's Byakugan isn't afraid of the bells and whistles. However, that light is particularly white. Like the most powerful daylight in history. Directly into Neji's eyes. Then, the pupils narrowed. However, the pupils and the whites of the eyes are white, so it is not obvious. However, that white light suddenly became Yuhi. Shining so that Neji's eyes also made Yuhi. Impressively became bloody Yuhi. And that scene was horrifying. Countless corpses are everywhere. Countless corpses. Can't tell if it's human or animal. Flesh, fuzzy. In the whole world, what remains is only the strong smell of blood. Pain, hate. And that look of indifference, that feeling. It turned out to be eyeballs one by one, floating in the air. Those eyeballs seemed to be controlled by a single point, and they looked at them in unison. Neji was startled and took a step back. Am I also scared now? Neji took a deep breath, a little helpless. But there was no way. At that time, he had a deep communication with Vulcan in the spiritual realm. Neji had already made a decision. To directly become a saint, to become a god, is simple and convenient. That is to get rid of your emotions. Don't be afraid, don't worry, don't be afraid. Just a ruthless fighting machine, the strongest ever. But Neji didn't like it, and he didn't want to just dump Ino and the other lovely girls. Therefore, Neji chose a very difficult road, and has been stuck in the step of becoming a saint. So Neji now has a feeling of fear, which is actually a good thing. This proves that Neji has not gone astray on the path of chasing power and cannot extricate himself. But those eyes are really disgusting. What? Is this the cruelty of these guys? Otsutsuki. Neji finished speaking, a force came from behind him. Can't respond. Bang. Huh. I saw the black box-like existence, and it was opened. Huge force urged Neji to be knocked away. The smoke is rolling. Then, barely covering his back with revolving heaven, Neji, who was only slightly injured, floated in the air in embarrassment. Surrounding Byakugan, the flowing chakra exudes impressively. This is the Byakugan chakra pattern. And over there, Kinshiki's mouth twitched, and there was evil in his eyes. Why? Neji was taken aback. This is his ability to clear his eyes. This guy shouldn't be able to resist. And thinking of this, Neji was taken aback again. Recalling that when I used the power of clear eyes to enter Bai's memories, I was only a bystander, but this time, I was deeply caught in it. And Kinshiki sneered a few times and said, "Do you think you can control me so easily?" PFF'd. PFF'd. The beating of the heart is getting weaker and weaker, until PFF'd. With a loud bang, Neji woke up. He stood there, his eyes widened, unable to move. And Kinshiki curled his lips and put his hand on Neji's chest. Killing intent flashed in his eyes, and he said angrily, "Fool! Do you think you are the only one who can be tricked? In the eyes of our Otsutsuki clan, you humans are just fragile playthings. Now, the game is over." Bang! Huge power, shocking shock. Neji was startled, but the next moment, he saw a somewhat surprised Momoshiki in front of him. "Hey, anyway, it's the same to kill whoever first. I just want the eyes of both of you," Momoshiki said and held out his hand. At the moment of touching Neji's eyes, Neji's body shines with golden light. Buzz. A ray of Buddha's light, making Momoshiki retreat. Momoshiki's hands started to melt as if the intense heat touched the rubber. He frowned and stepped back immediately. "Come to meet Senju Kill." Neji frowned. The huge Buddha statue was on top of Neji's body, and dozens of hands attacked. Momoshiki was knocked back, and the Yuhi-colored energy spheres that he threw were also scattered. Boom! On the other side, the powerful force is enough to cause a huge mushroom cloud to erupt over there. Momoshiki said indifferently, "HMPH, that guy is dead. It seems that you are not only strange with your moves, but also have some problems with your body." Momoshiki stretched out his hand, one of his own had almost melted, and swung it at will. The hand is thrown away like mud, and then, a new hand grows rapidly again. Neji took a breath. This Senju kill was a bit of fur that was stolen from Asuma before, and it seems that the power of God does have a miraculous effect on the Otsutsuki clan. But after all, the power of God is not as pure as chakra. When fighting, unless it is swordsmanship, it will be consumed very quickly. And what melted Momoshiki's hand was the body of Vulcan inspired by the power of other gods. 1,000 Eternals were hotter than the flames with the highest temperature in the center of the sun, and tens of thousands of times the temperature of Amaterasu. Even the bodies of the Otsutsuki clan could not bear it. Sasuke. Neji knew that Sasuke sensed his own danger over there, and immediately took the initiative to take this move. And if it was someone else, Neji was just moved. But when Sasuke is willing to do this, Neji has a responsibility in his heart. Because Sasuke is a very calm person, since this is the case, then the situation is obvious. They're in a tough fight, and even Sasuke believes that only Neji has any hope of being the winning point for the comeback. Hehehehe, that guy is really a fool, I said you. Huh. As Momoshiki spoke, a flash of Neji disappeared. Momoshiki was stunned, and after a long period of stunned smile, he smiled. Is there a time-space ninjutsu that is unique in the same few places and has been marked for displacement? It's boring. On the other side, Sasuke was already lying on the ground, vomiting blood. Above his head, Kinshiki rounded the bloody Yuhi's eyes and shouted, "You can't move now, it's the same as killing anyone first." Revolving heaven. There, Neji's figure flashed over. Chapter 687 Survival. Weak signal. Boom. Revolving heaven is impressive. In front of Sasuke. Sasuke was also surprised. Originally, he also felt that he had reached the end of his life. In his life, Sasuke didn't do many impulsive things. But every impulsive thing is a big thing. For Naruto to block all of Shiro's Senbon, and to pursue Orochimaru for strength. For his own hatred, give up Sakura. And now, in order to have the opportunity to go out, for the future of Konoha and the ninja world, save Neji, who is more capable. This time, he got the most timely response and feedback. Boom. The revolving heaven erupted again, and the Kinshiki above fled. Bang. It's annoying. Kinshiki didn't expect that the battle that he thought could be easily solved was forced to this level again and again. He was also extremely helpless, and since that was the case, he also twitched the corner of his mouth. It seems that in this case, you have no chance of winning. Because he saw that Sasuke was almost unconscious and lay on the ground. Neji, on the other hand, squatted beside Sasuke. Kinshiki's move is too powerful, even if you have Susanoo, it's hard to resist. Right now, you don't have the power of Yin, so Rinnegan's celestial power must be used as appropriate. Neji sighed. He knew that if Sasuke could have better control, his fighting power was more than that. But Sasuke has lost the power of Yin, so he can no longer fight at will as he did when he fought Kagaya. And Sasuke struggled to use his heavenly hands for the sake of more effective cooperation in every battle. Sorry. Sasuke bit Kiba, but he still doesn't speak much. Sasuke was startled and smiled. Sure enough, I like you more in this world. As Neji said, Sasuke bit Kiba with a puzzled look in his eyes. And Neji shook his head and said, nothing. He recalled Sasuke in the world of infinite Tsukuyomi. Although he was very talkative, lively, and cute, he was stupid. Unlike the current Sasuke, He was very decisive and straightforward, and he was a rare partner. Of course, the premise is that he can continue to be influenced by Naruto and is willing to work hard for a bright future. Neji reached out a hand and placed it on Sasuke's head. This. In an instant, Sasuke felt that his injuries were more than half healed. Neji said, I used half of the yang power in my body when I rescued Mr. Might Guy before. As a result, the yin and yang power in my body has always been unequal. Now I have the other half of the yin power, chakra, now look at it. Come on, it's time for you. Originally, you were the most suitable candidate. Neji breathed a sigh of relief and stood up. Okay, rest for now. The next battle, leave it to me. I have finished what I have to do, there is no need to delay it. Neji stood up, feeling that he wasn't quite open enough. Because it is you who need to apologize. Unexpectedly, even Sasuke was willing to bow his head to him, and Neji suddenly felt that he had gone too far. First of all, his attacking method put Sasuke under greater fighting pressure, and on the other hand, he really wanted to solve the possible troubles quickly, so he wanted to increase the risk as much as possible, and delay the time to obtain Kinshiki's memories. Unexpectedly, the other party was superior in skill, and he even plotted against himself. Oh, I didn't intend to attack you, but now, let's get to the point. Neji said indifferently, looking at the figure behind Kinshiki. It was Momoshiki who came over slowly. Have you solved this guy yet? Kinshiki. Momoshiki has a somewhat commanding tone, but his attitude is very gentle. Kinshiki also bowed his head and said respectfully, this will kill them. I want to talk to you directly. I really want to know something about your Otsutsuki clan, but it seems that prying open the mouth of this big man is the same as prying open your mouth, so I don't need to be opportunistic. Neji said. Momoshiki snorted coldly. Kinshiki, who was apparently ignored, seemed to be looking for a presence. Impressively rushed over. Extremely fast. Hard to control in general. Even Sasuke, who had just sat up, was a little surprised that he didn't even have time to remind Neji. But the next moment, Neji narrowed his eyes. Wow. The knife behind you, unsheathed. Baby. Aura, a flash. Boom. Fight fast. Huge blade, hundreds of meters. You can't even see where the knife came from, and Neji's body barely moves, just walking. Almost floated forward, walking 4 or 5 steps, and the flying Kinshiki was directly overtaken by Neji. And he widened his eyes and fell to the ground. This time, he got down on his knees. There was blood in his mouth. Thick blood. Neji didn't look back, not even looking back indifferently. Sasuke, who saw this scene, was deeply surprised. Finally serious. Neji. He swallowed and looked at Kinshiki again. Little puzzled, and murmured, Yuhi-colored blood. Is it the same as humans? No, obviously different. And Kinshiki, who was kneeling on the ground, opened his mouth and widened his eyes. There was still blood in his throat, and he couldn't even close his mouth. The original King Kong's indestructible body has now been ripped apart by Neji's beating. This is what he has only discovered now. The diamond on the outside is not bad, and it also covers up all the problems in the body flawlessly. But in fact, he was attacked again and again by Neji, and his defense was weakened in secret. And after the battle, Kinshiki has been injured. It was just Neji's hallucination, making Kinshiki think that he was still invincible, and then using his own power to easily defeat himself. And that kind of strength also surprised Kinshiki. Although he has only fallen into the trap, the contrast in strength is still shocking. That guy, when he was dealing with me, was he just keeping his hand? It's amazing. And over there, in front of Momoshiki, Neji's figure is getting closer. Looking at your reaction, you are much stronger than the guy under your subordinate. Then the status should be the same. I really don't want to say a few more words to a conspirator like you. I just want to get information in that guy's mind and instantly kill you. Killed. Neji showed a trace of anger, although he was impulsive and said some big words, but he was a little confident at the moment. Is that inexplicable murderous aura gathered in your body aimed at killing me? It's not necessary, even Pushi can't kill you completely, so don't even think about killing me. Pushi made this mark. Neji is a little weird. Momoshiki chuckled and waved his hand. Yeah, otherwise. How do we know about this place billions of light years away? There are still some leftovers in your body. The weak signal that Pushi sent out. Chapter 688 Ability. Perfect combination. Weak signal. Neji frowned slightly. Momoshiki smiled lightly and floated back. Zitsa. I saw some movement, and Neji's Jr. suddenly jumped out a little bit of wandering air. Baby. The sword light and sword shadow flashed, and that trace of breath was completely cut off. No more trace. The shot is really fast. This swordsmanship, it seems that when you fight with Kinshiki, you are not only keeping your hands, but you are simply releasing the water. No, releasing the sea. Momoshiki is a little stressed at the moment, although he is not worried that he will really be killed by Neji, but looking at the momentum now, it is still easy for this guy to suppress himself. How can a small planet have a strong man like you? I'm really surprised. Momoshiki's eyes stared straight at Neji, not knowing what he was thinking. And Neji just narrowed his eyes and analyzed, really? Is that so? Neji remembered the last time Arashiki fought with him, so confusing, the third attack caused by the first and second times. In the world of infinite Tsukuyomi, Arashiki clearly had the last remaining breath. But he didn't fight with himself at all, or the guy himself didn't think he would give him such a simple opportunity to obliterate him. So all the opportunities are simply used as blocking and bait. Because Urashi belongs to the Otsutsuki family, he has a very strong understanding and application of Byakugan. Byakugan's perspective can never be changed to 360 degrees. Perhaps this is the flawed concept that God must have left behind when he created the world. With such a powerful ability, there will always be some flaws. And the 359-degree field of vision was lacking in the fact that even if the strength of the previous one narrowed the range infinitely, it would still be useless. And Urashi was so willing to be destroyed by himself in infinite Tsukuyomi's dream. I am afraid it is to hide the remaining insurmountable angle behind Neji's Byakugan that cannot be found. To combine Neji's stable life in the future, use the long-term time to send signals to unknown places. So Neji cut off the signal without hesitation. Momoshiki smiled and said, what if you were ruined? Now the entire planet Otsutsuki knows the signal from Arashiki, it's just that Kinshiki and I got there faster. So what is your intention? Neji frowned, the Shukari sword behind him was floating in the air. When he was angry all his life, the knife would immediately fly and dance following Neji's movements. But Momoshiki just snorted softly and explained, an attempt. It's not an attempt, just to find Kagaya, who stole something belonging to our Otsutsuki clan. Belonging to the Otsutsuki clan. Chakra fruit. Sacred tree. Neji asked suspiciously. But Momoshiki didn't answer, just stared at Neji silently, the corners of his mouth suddenly bent. That kind of thing is just ordinary chakra. What's the point? HMPH, let me see, you who know fighting skills are not under Kagaya. Neji was a little dissatisfied with this statement, and always felt that these guys still had some important attempts to say. Also, why is Kagaya stealing? That is, they and Kagaya are enemies. Neji was thinking about this. Momoshiki asked, are the Hyuga clan? Neji was taken aback and stepped back immediately. I saw Momoshiki's mouth twitching, and the inside of his Byakugan, the interweaving of black and white, appeared impressively. Clean eyes. Baby. When Neji realized this, he moved backwards and his knife was unsheathed. Then, suddenly came towards Momoshiki. Momoshiki also reacted with an ugly smile. He was very calm and stepped back. Neji watched his own sword, the sword that even Kinshiki could not dodge, was easily retreated by Momoshiki. That power. Zizi. Neji narrowed his eyes slightly and held out his hand. Shikaruda's sword immediately stepped back and was held firmly in Neji's hand. Your sword is stronger than the other guy's sword, but this kind of swordsmanship doesn't mean much to me. Maybe it's just restraining that guy Kinshiki, maybe. Hee. Momoshiki smiled. In this way, it seems to be able to explain that even Sasuke, who doesn't have the power of yin now, can fight back and forth with Kinshiki. Kinshiki seems to be the worst at dealing with enemies like Neji and Sasuke. At this moment, Neji was surprised. Do you have clean eyes too? Momoshiki chuckled. Looks like you're a very strong defect. Hyuga clan. Rubbish born from Kagaya's children. Children of humans. Ridiculous. Momoshiki let out a slow breath, disdainful of Neji. Although he had previously felt that Neji was putting pressure on him like never before. Neji stared straight at him. Momoshiki explained. Hee, don't look at me like that. Indeed, your power is very strong. With the power you have hoarded now, I can't beat you. It may take some help. Other things, but there must be sacrifices, and it seems unnecessary now. Let's come to Japan for a long time. Momoshiki floated back, and then slowly floated up into the sky. He said, that's not a so-called clear eye, it's a finished product that has been combined perfectly. Haven't you already experienced Pushi's ability? You seem to have a good time in the travel back in time, without too much analysis. From what you did to Kinshiki, I roughly guess that your ability is to search for memories in the mind, which is really interesting. It's rare. But my ability is not as simple as searching for your memory. My eyes can see the past and future of people, and it has nothing to do with the mind and soul. It is something that happens all the time in this world. It only takes a moment. You can feel it. Quote. This is the omnipotent omniscient omniscience. Ha ha ha. Momoshiki's laughter became more and more frantic. Because he saw a hint of surprise on Neji's face. But not much, enough to satisfy Momoshiki. After all, Neji wasn't really surprised in the fight against Kinshiki. Kinshiki, let's go. Momoshiki stretched out his hand, over there, with a bang. Neji breathed a sigh of relief. No wonder this guy knew he belonged to the Hyuga clan. I also know the origin of my Hyuga clan, so it is indeed a good ability. The poor thieves do not chase. Although they do not know what means to retreat, Neji can still use various pursuit abilities to pursue them. But that also makes no sense. This is the first confrontation with the Otsutsuki clan in the true sense, and the focus is on gathering intelligence. This rule is still set by Neji, that is, intelligence comes first. He turned his head and saw that Sasuke over there had stood up. But Sasuke also listened to all the information without saying a word. Looking at Sasuke's eyes asking for an answer, Neji knew that he had another little brother. Chapter 689 Routine. Moon's Mission. Speaking of little brother, Neji thought of a person. Then let's go back first, Sasuke. Actually, I can continue to investigate. Sasuke said. But Neji smiled and said, you can take it easy, since you were given the power of yin, it is not for nothing. Your ability is very important now, and you must not put yourself in danger, understand? Sasuke was startled and seemed a little disobedient. But after a while, he still nodded, I see. Neji exhaled, it's really hard to tame this guy. But need an opportunity like this, everything becomes simple. The so-called cannibalism is short-mouthed and soft-handed. Sasuke didn't show much when he was indirectly cared for and rescued by others, but now that he really helped her once, she also gave her some face. And in terms of strength, Neji is even better. In the case of the same position, Sasuke has no reason not to recognize this big brother. Although, he would never admit it. Konoha village with the information collected by Sasuke. In a few days, Naruto's wedding is imminent. After the information was reported, it was temporarily stranded. But originally this kind of secret matter, only a few secret people know and discuss, and the final decision is completely in the hands of the three masters. The current 6th generation Hokage Tsunade, the future 7th generation Hokage Uzumaki Naruto, and Hyuga Neji. To be precise, there are 4 people, but now Sasuke is recovering from his injuries, and everything he is responsible for has been handed over to Neji. It's just that on the night of Naruto's marriage, everything was suspended. Hinata and Naruto's wedding was fun, but Neji disappeared. Hinata, who had been watching for a long time, finally became worried, and Naruto came over. Don't worry, Hinata, Neji must have something more important, he won't mess around. I know, I understand. Hinata smiled. Although the man in front of him was what Neji told him to deliver. I have some feelings for Naruto, and I was rescued by Naruto when I was very young. But later my feelings for all men faded, and I just felt that my brother was very handsome and strong. It is worth relying on and entrusting. But as he grew up, Hinata realized that the older brother is the older brother. You can't be a man who will protect you for the rest of your life. And his own existence will also make Ino feel embarrassed. This made Hinata begin to accept his feelings for Naruto, and Neji didn't know why, but he was unusually supportive of this emotion. Once, Hinata specifically asked for a long time about Neji's reasons for supporting his marriage with Naruto, and Neji was fooled. He actually said, because of the children of Hinata and Naruto, the future will be very special. Hinata also sighed, too lazy to ask. Could this reason be plausible? No matter how true what Neji said, she wouldn't be a fool to be fooled willingly. On the other side at this time, inside the hut, Mr. Kosuke went to the Hyuga family's tomb, Matsuri, to lay a funeral tonight. He said that he was grateful for the guidance of Hyuga Tenin. He really has a high respect for the Hyuga family. This is another week. Today is the first time. It's been 4 days. Kimimaro is sitting in the log cabin, and the current log cabin has been well maintained, surrounded by fences and walls. Neji smiled and took a sip of the tea. Well, it's still the same taste. But he didn't know what to say. He said that he drank the tea here more than 40 years ago, and I'm afraid no one will believe it except Ino. At this time, a guy on the side knocked on the table heavily. Ah, damn, Neji, no, big brother. Probably feeling the killing intent in Neji's eyes, Shueyu quickly changed her words. He asked, why did Sasuke become your younger brother? And he is still older than me, why? I am not convinced. And Kimimaro on the side said coldly, if you don't agree, you can become stronger than Sasuke. In other words, at least you have to beat me first, right? Baby. At Kimimaro's arm, a bone pierced out. And Shueyu had already taken a step back in fright. He rubbed his butt against the wooden floor. Take it back, take it back. Kimimaro retracted the bones, and Shueyu let out a sigh of relief. Damn, I vomited after practicing with you for the past 2 days. Really, how did you get such a tricky ability? Seeing them chatting, Neji felt that it was getting late, and he still had something to go back to. He urged, okay, Naruto and Hinata are getting married today. You both went to the place where you were supposed to attend and where you were supposed to play. You didn't agree to my simple request. Huh, simple. Shueyu was startled. He could not laugh or cry helplessly. Big brother, what task do you give me? The previous investigation of Orochimaru almost killed me, but this time you asked me to investigate the Otsutsuki clan. Isn't that just trying to murder me? Even Sasuke does this. Neji shrugged and said, there's no way, now Sasuke can't leave the village at will. It's up to you. Looked at Kimimaro. Kimimaro shook his head and said, sorry, I can't either. My mission is to watch the back mountain in the village with Kosuke-senpai. And I also want to prevent the Hyuga family's tomb seal from loosening. Shueyu's eyes for help suddenly burst into tears. And Neji suddenly coughed lightly and said, "Hey, don't you want to do it? I thought that the most capable person under me was you except Sasuke. It seems that you are not good." Neji lowered his head, lost in his eyes. "So I'm going to be wrong too. It seems that no matter how strong Byakugan is, it's nothing more than that." Said that, Neji shook his head helplessly and pretended to be. Eh. Hearing this, Shueyu couldn't sit still. "What did you say? Of course I am the strongest." "Okay." Neji let out a sigh of relief and stood up. "I'm leaving first, there's something urgent. Don't stay." With a bang, the figure disappeared. Only the stagnant Shueyu was left in place, messy in the wind. Routines, all routines. On the other side at this time, inside the small house, Naruto and Tsunade drank and everyone started saying goodbye. It was already midnight, and Naruto's wedding lasted for 3 whole days. This was the 3rd day, and everyone had nothing to entertain. Ino took Hinata's hand and went out. "Naruto, Hinata has been with you for 2 days. My Neji has been very busy these days. Hinata will lend me first tilde." Naruto was very drunk and did not refuse. After the wedding, Ino was his sister-in-law. Tsunade and Naruto were left in the house. For a moment, it seemed lonely. However, Tsunade was still in high spirits, holding the bottle and clinking glasses. "Naruto, we won't go home if we don't get drunk." Chapter 690 Drunk. Tsunade's mind. Don't get drunk, don't go home. Tsunade was so happy that he even slightly yuhi, but even if he thought so, it was actually caused by excessive drinking. But the joy is real. Naruto is the child Tsunade watched grow up. They are now married after Neji. In fact, the rules of the ninja world are not so forced. In the past, boys and girls could get married at the age of 15. Now Naruto is almost 19 years old, and Neji is also 20 years old. In the past 2 years, not only Konoha village, but other villages have also undergone tremendous changes, right? Naruto didn't want to limit the topic to his own marriage. After all, he was about to become a Hokage man. So in the past year or two, before Tsunade abdicated, he made a lot of preparations. Although most of them are supervised by the people around them. Especially the guy Shikamaru, who is also recognized by the advisor, the strongest brain of the Nara clan, will definitely become the strategist who advises Naruto in the future. But Naruto has this kind of power. He can use his own charm to bring everyone together. This is something that even Neji cannot have. It's just that Tsunade didn't think so. In her heart, she still had a different appreciation for Neji. Well, after all, just from the look of the face, that's what happened. Yes, indeed it is. Tsunade sighed and began to count the changes over the years in his mind. Except for Sunagakure village and Kurigakure village, the shadows of other villages should be carrying on the inheritance of shadows, right? "We, Konoha, are coming soon," said Tsunade meaningfully, put his eyes on Naruto. She had high hopes for this child. And Naruto said, but looked silent. Between the two, all the drunkenness from before has disappeared. After all, they are all people with a huge amount of chakra, and it is no problem to get drunk as an ordinary person. But when they become ninjas again, they can understand that they cannot easily get drunk all the time. It was at this time that they understood why Neji, when he became famous, insisted on marrying Ino, and then took a break for more than a year. Because being a ninja is tiring, and being a hero is even more tiring. It is a rare thing to experience the happiness of ordinary people. Even on the wedding night. Even when drunk. As a hero, Naruto still has to wake up. Because what they are discussing now is a major event in the village. I don't want to be Hokage at all, now. There was some flicker in Naruto's eyes. Tsunade was a little surprised. She was stunned for a long time before asking slowly, "Naru. People, you, Weren't you the person who wanted to be Hokage the most before? And, in the end, you also defeated Sasuke. He succeeded, delivered from the abyss and brought him back. No. Naruto looked firm. He said, I'm not a hero, I'm just a fake. It was Neji who really saved the world, and Sasuke. It's because of Neji that he came back to Konoha. What? Sasuke told me personally, we people don't understand what happened in the dark. So it will only continue the past, the problems that exist in the ninja world, just like that, there is a distance from peace. He wants to, it is true peace, not just a great power, high-sounding, so-called just cause. Quote. But it was Neji who made him change his mind. Made him realize that in the dark his sparks. Naruto said, although Sasuke's meaning is not clear, but this firm will can be said to be beyond words. Tsunade chuckled and shook his head. I see, so you think Neji is more suitable than you. Naruto let out a sigh of relief, and was relieved when Tsunade spoke his mind. Actually, why don't I want to be a hero? Be a Hokage rightfully, but the Hyuga clan is now the strongest clan in Konoha. Neji has made a name for the Hyuga clan, but I have not been able to surpass my father's name. 4 generations. Bullshit. You're a lot better than that Minato kid. Tsunade joked with a smile. Just a moment later, he felt inappropriate again, and murmured, but that boy Minato is indeed more handsome than you. Mother-in-law. Naruto narrowed his eyes, sweating coldly. Tsunade laughed again. Ha ha ha. I'm talking too much, but when it comes to being handsome, Neji. Hee hee. Of course Naruto doesn't know about those little secrets between Tsunade and Neji. However, in the end, Naruto, I have to tell you, these are my worries, my worries. Naruto didn't answer, but noticed that Tsunade suddenly became serious, so he listened carefully. Tsunade's expression suddenly became serious. Things in the village were no child's play after all. As a 6th-generation Hokage, I know that the best situation right now is to hand over the 7th-generation Hokage's position to a powerful and prestigious ninja. Now the most popular and reasonable one should be Kakashi. But you know, Kakashi has too much darkness in his heart, and for the things he did for Obito, he resolutely refused to become Hokage. This is also something that can't be helped. Tsunade sighed and said, Naruto, you should know best, right? After all, Jiraiya was like this at the beginning. Jiraiya felt guilty about herself and couldn't save her companion, Orochimaru, so she didn't want to become Hokage of the 5th generation. So in the end, the Hokage of the 5th generation was inexplicably taken first by Hyuga Hiyashi. That kid doesn't have this ability, but Neji's many contributions behind the scenes have made the Hyuga family's status in Konoha village higher and higher. Tsunade's tone was rather helpless. It can be seen that she likes Neji very much, but not so much towards the Hyuga family. After all, the fact that one person drives a family is just a fact, not the development that everyone hopes. Mother Tsunade, what are you talking about? Just say it. I mean, this Hokage, you're set. Naruto. Tsunade's face is slightly Shuin-Yuhi. Everyone knows that she is drinking now and is expressing her heart. However, the rippling look in his eyes made his heart rippling for a long time. Why must it be me? Sasuke When Naruto said this, he regretted it again. It's too late to say this now. But in the end, it's not that he can't be a Hokage. Chapter 691 Foresight. Konoha's transition period. It's just that Neji is more suitable than me, isn't it? Why didn't you choose Neji to be Hokage? Naruto finally asked what he was thinking. And Tsunade blurted out, simply because making you Hokage, that's Neji's idea. This. Naruto expressed his surprise that he had never heard Neji mention it. Tsunade explained, the final enemy of the 4th Ninja War, Otsutsuki Kagaya. She is strong, isn't she? Naruto's face became heavy again, and he fell silent. A long time, he nodded heavily, Well, if Neji wasn't strong enough, we would all die at the hands of that guy. Don't say that, after all, it was you and Sasuke's yin and yang power that sealed that guy. Although most people have forgotten about Neji's deeds at that time, those of us who have experienced it ourselves will not forget. Nonsense, Granny Tsunade is not old. Ha, but it's getting old after all. But, I'm serious. Tsunade no longer wanted to joke with Naruto, but explained seriously, since Kagaya is so strong and from a faraway place, there seems to be a truth that you haven't investigated yet. Naruto nodded immediately, and when he talked about Sasuke, he started talking. That's right, Sasuke is investigating those guys now. The Otsutsuki clan, the power they have is too powerful, there must be no such a simple plan. In order to protect the ninja world, we must be fully prepared. The current Naruto is more mature and stable than before, but he is very suitable to be a leader. Tsunade went on to explain, that's why you need to help Neji block this identity. What do you mean? Neji told me that the eye that Otsutsuki Kagaya has, is Byakugan. Tsunade's eyes. Naruto was also stunned, and suddenly realized it. This seems to be true. Naruto blinked, blaming himself a little. It had been more than a year, and he was slow to notice such an important detail. And Tsunade continued, and the story of Kagaya, you also said that Kagaya gave birth to 2 children in the ninja world. And his children were also combined with human beings, and they had new children, and thus had various children. All kinds of powerful ninja clan. The Hyuga clan is very likely to be the descendant of the younger brother of the Six Paths Sage, that is to say. Neji has the power to disperse the Otsutsuki clan, which is very likely, right? Tsunade's words shocked Naruto. Looking at Naruto's surprised face, Tsunade smiled again and explained, hee. Don't look at me like that, Neji told me this. She also said that you have to become Hokage, otherwise, her identity will soon be revealed, and she will become one of those potential enemies lurking in any corner of the world, unable to easily control his position. Quote. Although Naruto doesn't understand other big truths, he is still very clear about such trivial matters. It is now clear that Neji is the ace of Konoha village. At that time, Neji chose to conceal his great achievements. Naruto thought that Neji was afraid that he would become the target of the other 4 countries. Want Konoha village to keep a low profile. Now it seems that I was completely wrong. Neji's perspective is completely different from theirs. While they were still worrying about the enemy in front of them, Neji had already begun to use his powerful pupil power to observe and deal with the enemy in the next few decades. This is called foresight. Then in this Konoha transition. I get it. Granny Tsunade, no wonder you made that decision. Naruto finally understood. And Tsunade also laughed. Yeah, but it's not just that one reason. She had a charming smile. That smile looked like the shyness of a young man, but also had the intellectual beauty of a man over 50 years old. Naruto was stunned, and said with a smirk, but Tsunade's mother-in-law is really amazing. She is so old, yet she still has such a young face. Bah, who is the age? Hey. Squeak. The door was pushed open, and the two looked over together. They were not too surprised, this basic insight still exists. And the familiar and powerful chakra on Neji, without special cover, is naturally easy to detect wherever he goes. Pat, pat, was the sound of Neji's footsteps on the wooden floor. Neji tilde. Tsunade held up the bottle in his hand, while Neji had a black line on his face. Ah, this is drinking. The glowing faces of the two Yuhi, Neji felt a bit of a headache. You two, won't you let me take you back for a while? Don't worry, no. Tsunade stood up immediately, smiling like a teenager. And that graceful figure, with bumps and bumps. Neji looked at it and thought about it. And Tsunade, a huge embrace, took Neji into his arms. Unprepared. Pity that Neji has so many actual combats in speed, but he will always lose to Tsunade's quick eyes and hands. Hello. Neji wanted to escape the proud Twin Peaks, but Tsunade hugged tighter, suffocating. He even gave Neji a gentle kiss on the face, although in some countries this is a way to express politeness, but there is no such rule in the country of fire. So Neji immediately pulled away from his body and smiled shyly, You are now the 6th generation Hokage. Besides, I am also married to Ino now, I can't. Neji swallowed, the corners of his mouth twitching. Naruto is still there. But Tsunade shrugged and said, No, just miss it. I may not have this opportunity in the future. A moment, the atmosphere was a little sad, and Neji narrowed his eyes slightly. So you're talking about that business, right? The reason why you asked me to come with Naruto is really not just a matter of handing over to Naruto, the 7th generation of Ai's Hokage, right? Neji then sat down honestly. And Tsunade also sat down. 3 of them sat on the ground like this, and the wine glasses in front of Neji's table were also filled. Although Neji doesn't like drinking much, Tsunade likes to fill him up. Neji, don't worry, everyone in the village approves of you concealing your identity and surviving in the ninja world, and will not force you to become a Hokage. After all, Naruto is standing by for you now, but Naruto still needs a year. Come to experience himself. And you and Ino have been married for a year, and Naruto is the same. He is also one of the strongest people in Konoha with the name of a hero. Quote. Neji agreed to this, nodding his head. So, and then, Neji asked, looking expectant. Chapter 692 Lonely. Young no longer. Then. Tsunade's expression was hesitant, but firm. After all, those decisions made cannot be changed. From tomorrow onwards, the foreign affairs of this village will be left to you to handle. Just help Naruto. This guy is already struggling to adapt to the internal affairs. Besides, the village's foreign affairs are very sensitive now, and the relationship between the 5 major countries is very delicate. Only you can handle it. Tsunade said, his confidence was also a little empty. After all, even she couldn't understand Neji's attitude. Neji lowered his head slightly and fell silent. After a while, he smiled and said, That's right, if you're only in charge of foreign affairs, there should be no problem. After all, you only need to contact some high-level personnel, right? Neji didn't know what abacus he was working on, showing a mysterious smile. So, I want to make any decision about the foreign affairs of Konoha village, okay? It can be seen that Neji has not been involved in the management of Konoha village for a long time, and has long been itchy. And the feeling is also a wry smile. Of course. You have not been involved in the internal and external affairs of Konoha village for more than a year. Although you don't say it yourself, I should guess that you are already dissatisfied with those high-level executives. Although Danzo, whom you hate the most, and teacher Sarutobi, whom you disapprove of, are gone, but those 2 old guys. Neji knew that those 2 old guys were Konoha's 2 advisors. Homura Mitokado and Kaharu Udatane. The combat power is insufficient, but the experience and qualifications are very experienced. It is also because of this that they are talking in the village now, and no one dares to say no. After all, in the past year, Konoha's high-level changes have been made by some young cubs. The young ninjas had to be suppressed by the guys of the older generation. However, Neji is not afraid of these falsehoods. In the past, I put my mind on the enemy in front of me at that time, but now, I don't need to think so much. I see, and I'll plan it out. Neji's mouth curled into a confident smile. 3 months later, it will be the first 5 shadow talks after the war. After that, all the information about foreign affairs, and all the records of contacts and negotiations with other countries and hidden villages in the past after the war will be presented to you. Okay, I see. Tsunade's words were interrupted by Neji, and a look of anticipation flashed in Neji's eyes at some point. But Neji shrugged again and asked, why do you have to do it for me? Actually, I don't think I have to do those things. He's been living with Ino for a long time now, and he's really got a little bit of her fickle bad habit. Suddenly I felt a little tired again. After all, blood is just impulsive. Sure enough, any man will become a mother after falling in love. It's timeless truth. Tsunade took it seriously. Even if Naruto didn't want to take over the internal affairs and become Hokage, she wasn't afraid. Sasuke, Kakashi, even Shikamaru and Might Guy are all eligible to compete for the position of Hokage, but only foreign affairs, not Neji and themselves. The so-called foreign affairs is to maintain the position of Konoha village in the eyes of the other 4 countries, and peaceful negotiation should not be too weak to be ridden in the face. It is very necessary to grasp a sense of proportion, so experience is especially required. And Neji and Ino went to Kumogakure village and settled the conflict between Kumogakure village and Iwagakure village, and they became famous in the diplomatic circle and have caused a sensation to this day. So Neji was the perfect fit, but what about herself? Tsunade shook his head helplessly and said, Time is running out. As she spoke, the corner of her mouth twitched and she put away her chakra. Zizzy. Naruto and Neji opened their eyes, both slowly becoming shocked. I saw that Tsunade instantly became a very obvious 50-year-old lady, as if she were 20 years older. And Neji could see clearly that it was only because Tsunade still had the power to control. If it really gets out of control, the side effects of using chakra to stay young all year round will surface at one time, and Tsunade will look like a centenarian. That's why I said it was the last chance. Tsunade rode. Neji realized that Tsunade was referring to this when he said it might be the last chance. My current chakra won't last long, and I will soon be a relic of the old era. As Tsunade said, Neji felt frustrated and comforted. Don't worry, Hashirama sells in the village. No, I'm not only old in appearance, but also old in heart. Tsunade lowered his head, showing a hint of bitterness. She explained, Neji, you were not in the village at that time, so you didn't understand. When Jiraiya was gone, I bet he wouldn't die and I won. Tsunade's loneliness can be felt in his words. I won the bet and he died. I killed him. The tone is light and cloudless, but the content is so shocking. Neji said, the past is in the past. It's the past for us, but not for Jiraiya. Tsunade said silently. Neji didn't stop him anymore, he suddenly understood something. For Tsunade, Jiraiya is more than a state of being, more than AUO, but not full of lovers. It is the witness of her era. Jiraiya has witnessed her youth, so if Jiraiya is still around, she can feel that she has always been young. And now, Neji, Naruto. They are all young children, and the senior management in the village are gradually changing blood. These, all the time remind Tsunade that she is no longer young. Therefore, she must leave such a young atmosphere and enjoy her life. This is what she should get after working hard for the village. Neji understood at this moment, she shouldn't stop Tsunade from gaining her freedom. I see, the village, leave it to me. It's not just Neji's promise, it's his greatness. After all, something that has been planned for more than 10 years will finally be implemented from tomorrow. Next day, the Hyuga clan practice ground. The current practice ground has been rebuilt, and the ground is extremely solid. Even if it is a step with chakra, if you step on it hard, there will be no trace. Of course. Except for some people. Bang! Step on it with one foot, and a footprint sinks deep into the ground. And in the air, Neji's figure suddenly fell. Naruto, who was stepping on the ground, frowned slightly and supported it with both hands. With Neji's palm, the chakra in Naruto's hand exploded. Neji was stunned for a moment. His palms could not touch Naruto's palm, but when he looked up, Naruto's eyes already had orange eyeshadow, and the eyeballs also changed into toad eyes. Huh. This is the frog team. Hee hee. Naruto smiled and pushed Neji away. With a click, Neji also landed. And Naruto eliminated Sage Mode, took a breath and said, "Let's go here today. It looks like the condition of the arm is very good." Saying that, he moved his right hand, which was covered with bandages. Chapter 693 Pressure. Kurama's illusion. Hashirama's cells are recovering well. Neji murmured. From Byakugan's perspective, it can be clearly seen that Senju Hashirama's cells play a very important role in Naruto's right hand. The so-called prosthetic limb is actually equivalent to regrowing an arm, which is more convenient to use than the original dominant hand in terms of strength and speed. Although some special abilities are still far inferior to Naruto's own arm, compared to most methods, the use of Senju Hashirama cells for transplantation recovery is already a good result. Yeah, it just so happens that Sasuke is in the village now, so I have to persuade him. Naruto smiled and said. Neji also walked slowly ahead. Ah, but you should give up. Neji smiled wryly. He knew that Sasuke would not agree. That guy, now he just wants to atone for his sins. This time back to the village, by the way, that's the same thing. That thing. Naruto was a little puzzled. Now for Sasuke, it seems that Neji knows more than Naruto. From any angle. Of course it's that one, aren't you? Neji smiled evilly and kept raising his eyebrows. After Naruto thought for a moment, he was stunned, and then burst into a smile. Oh. It was only then that he realized that he was just married, but Sasuke. His relationship with Sakura was also made public not long ago. In other words, is Sasuke going to marry Sakura soon? Ha ha ha, really? Our 7th class, I miss it so much. Neji just smiled too. Obviously, the so-called 7th class, he was just a bystander. In Neji's heart, the place where he grew up is still the 10th class, but the 7th class, as the hero who saved the world, naturally attracted the attention of the whole ninja world. So where they go from here, of course, is particularly important. This is a normal thing. How about Tenten? I remember Neji and Tenten. Naruto murmured, rubbing his chin. His eyes glanced at Neji with some doubts. His tone weakened, and he seemed to realize that he had said something wrong. Neji glanced at him sullenly, and his face drew closer. Oh, I forgot, Neji, you've. Ha, what a pity. Naruto laughed, while Neji glared at him and said angrily, and Tenten and I don't have those things you think. But in the face of Neji's explanation, Naruto snickered and complained, hey, don't explain. At that time, it was still on the battlefield, and many people saw it. The meteorite from Xingying village in Tenten's hands, isn't Neji the love token you gave to Tenten? Hee, this is something that even Ino knows about. Stinky boy, it seems that today's practice is not over yet. Neji bit Kiba and shot immediately. Ah, Neji, you can't do this. Naruto immediately retreated to the rear, although even after losing the power of Young, Naruto still had Super Cage level strength. But now his opponent is the pinnacle of the ninja world, and no action can easily relax his vigilance. He immediately triggered the QB, 9 Tails, mode in his body. Naruto. Kurama's voice came from within Naruto's body. Kurama, please. And Kurama is also meditating in Naruto's body, condensing chakra. Unconsciously, these two guys who looked at each other unpleasantly at first, now they have experienced 100 battles and have a great spiritual understanding. But this time, Kurama couldn't sit still. Naruto, why? Who are you fighting? This feeling. Kurama had a bad premonition. And Naruto was just a little unhappy, saying, Kurama, don't hesitate. I'm playing with Neji. Kurama also realized that this was the case, and sighed, so it is. Alas, I thought Kagaya was resurrected again. Even though Kurama said it casually, Naruto felt it. This repressive force is exactly the same as Kagaya back then. The difference is that Naruto firmly believes that Neji will not hurt himself. With QB 9 Tails chakra, the speed becomes extremely fast. Even Neji's raid might not be able to keep up with this speed. I actually escaped. There is something. Neji's mouth twitched, and now, his fighting spirit has risen. With their speed and strength on a par, the two of them were running around in the huge Hyuga clan's training ground. At this time, at the special gate of the practice ground, several figures slowly walked in. 3 female ninjas, each with a different hairstyle. As expected, it's Neji-san and Naruto. In this peaceful age, they're still working hard to practice their skills. Hinata speaks a lot more generously than before, but still has an inescapable tenderness. On the other hand, Ino said carelessly, haha. You can sense Neji's chakra from afar. How come these 2 big men are married and still look like children? Ino said, and strode forward. While Hinata was startled, she smiled softly at the girl behind her and said, let's go into Hanabi. Well, okay, sister. Behind Naruto, Hanabi's face was slightly yuhi moist. But her expression was so shy and indifferent. Hinata can also feel that the current Hanabi is exactly the same as the kind of confidence that was unique to the genius in the eyes of Neji back then. Several people walked over, and sensing all this, Neji finally stopped. Seeing that Neji was no longer chasing, Naruto breathed a sigh of relief. Really, I'm wounded now. Neji, can't you just take it lightly? Listening to Naruto's nagging, Neji sneered, oh, I haven't met you yet. Later, Hinata and Ino came over and chatted with Neji. And Naruto also narrowed his eyes and looked curiously at the quiet little girl over there. Is this Hanabi, dress up like a little beauty? Naruto also leaned over, and saw her sister-in-law on weekdays, except that the ninja dress was the bridesmaid that day. Hanabi in casual clothes. They've already been set to become Hokage by default, and one is an executive officer of foreign affairs. Is he still training his strength here? Now that Konoha is strong enough, let's rest more. Ino urged. Neji shrugged and said, this can't be relaxed at will, the ninja world may face new enemies at any time. That's right. In the days to come, we will have to rely on Hanabi, a ninja with extraordinary talent, to carry the new banner. Naruto laughed. Seeing that Hanabi hesitated to speak, Hinata smiled softly. Naruto, Hanabi is a very talented child, but on the road to becoming stronger, she sometimes wants to learn from the past. Chapter 694 Cheats. Powerful sparring. Learn from scriptures. Naruto was a little surprised. He looked at Neji, and Neji only smiled slightly. This sunny weather, everyone gathers together, the weather is sunny, it is also a rare reunion. A few people met and sat down in a small pavilion to chat. Ah, really? Ino took a deep breath. Since living together with Neji for more than a year, she has somewhat forgotten that she once loved to go out to Konoha village with Neji to perform tasks. I'm almost suffocating in the house, but the air outside is still fresh. Ino said with emotion. Hinata just chuckled and didn't answer. On the other side, Hyuga Hanabi's face was slightly yuhi, and she was always reserved, a little embarrassed. As for why he was embarrassed, Naruto didn't know, he just smiled and said, you don't have to be embarrassed, I heard that your talent is quite high, and wanting to become stronger is a stage that every ninja will go through when they are young. Naruto is not very good at teaching juniors, but when he said this, he thought of Uchiha Sasuke. Now Naruto is 19 years old, and Hanabi is also 13 years old, 1 year younger than Konoha Maru. Sasuke left Konoha village for strength, and Hanabi is also a genius female ninja, not good at words. But unlike Sasuke, Hanabi is orthodox and happy in the Hyuga family, and has not experienced the pain of Sasuke. If that kind of thing did not happen to the Uchiha clan at the time, Hanabi's state now is probably Sasuke's state, right? In Naruto's heart, there is a little loneliness, but who should I tell him? Moreover, what happened in the past cannot be changed. Well, stop nagging her. Hinata smiled. Hanabi has done well enough. Now that the 5 countries are so peaceful, children should have more fun. The ninja world should pursue peace, not just ninjutsu and taijutsu. Hinata is right, it seems that Hanabi doesn't think so. Naruto found something and took the initiative to ask. Hanabi, don't you have something to learn from? Say it. Naruto's face is also full of energy now. At the end of the 4th Ninja World War, Neji voluntarily abandoned all the fame he should have. S-class secret mission to investigate the ruins of Otsutsuki soon after returning to the village. So in the eyes of the world, only Uzumaki Naruto is the hero who saves this ninja world. Bearing the name of a hero, Naruto's whole person is naturally bursting with self-confidence from the inside out. Looking at Naruto's firm eyes, Hanabi raised his head hesitantly. Ino, who has become familiar with some after more than a year of getting along, nodded to her with certainty. She was a little nervous and swallowed. Then he asked seriously, Brother Naruto, what's your way to become stronger? Huh? Naruto narrowed his eyes slightly, a little surprised. I want to know how to become stronger, although I know that there is no war now, even if there are some difficult tasks, there are better ninjas in the village. But as a younger generation, I also want to show everyone Konoha Village light future. Quote. Hanabi's realization shocked Naruto. A 13-year-old child, completely different from when they were only noisy. With the world in mind, only the gains and losses of the village and the country are in his eyes, not his own selfish desires. While Naruto sighed, he also began to think, how can he become stronger? He suddenly asked again, why didn't you ask Neji? Your cousin Neji's method of becoming stronger might be more suitable for you. Naruto must not have given any real advice himself, after all, he wouldn't use Byakugan himself. The reason why Hanabi is called a genius is precisely because she can use Byakugan more proficiently than all children of the same age, and her physical skills are also first class. Because, Brother Neji, he has been a genius since he was a child, and he has always been strong. And I am not as good as him now. I also know how Brother Neji becomes stronger, that is, training day after day, training more diligently than anyone, and it is faster than anyone to understand the method. You can understand the principle of the enemy's art just by looking at it, and the precise control of chakra. No matter it is any art, you can easily understand. That's enough. Stop, there's no need to flatter me here. Neji gave a bitter smile, preventing Hanabi from continuing. Hanabi was also very obedient and stopped talking about Neji immediately. Instead, he looked at Naruto expectantly and said, and Naruto brother, you have been the tail of the crane since you were a child. Naruto's face was a little embarrassed. And you're still stupid, and you don't have any strong abilities. Except for the names of the tail beast and the Uzumaki clan, you don't have anything. Naruto was in a cold sweat. Hanabi continued, so stupid and weak, how did you become Hokage now? How did you become strong? This time, Naruto was completely defeated by Hanabi's innocence. The way to get along with children is really a knowledge. Now Hanabi is not too old or too young, and Naruto is not good at explaining certain things so thoroughly. After all, Naruto became stronger by relying on his Kyuubi, 9 tails, and bloodline. As for his careless personality, he just found a bunch of friends for himself, which had no substantial impact on his strength. But this kind of fatalism, Naruto doesn't like to publicize, and it's still a child who is not deep in the world. Then, I'll pass on the secret book that I have treasured for many years to become stronger. Naruto pretended to be mysterious. Secrets. In the eyes of the spark, there was a glimmer of light. Naruto glanced at Neji mysteriously and explained, that's a powerful sparring. Whether it's Neji or me, ordinary contact is definitely not enough. More actual combat is needed, but in the absence of war now, or even when there was no previous time, actual combat will definitely not meet our needs to become stronger. At this time, a stable and powerful sparring opponent is the key. Quote. Naruto said loudly and forcefully, the purpose was to make Hanabi believe in himself unconditionally. The sparring opponent. Hanabi sniffed, and she seemed so simple when she longed for strength. Naruto nodded leisurely and explained, "You just need to find a powerful guy to be your sparring partner, preferably your ninja of the same generation, even if it's a boy, it doesn't matter. You are a genius anyway." Naruto smiled and suggested. However, Hanabi immediately showed a helpless look. "What's wrong?" Seeing that Hanabi hesitated to speak, Naruto asked in doubt. At this time, Hinata said, "That Naruto-kun, she is now the strongest among the children of the same generation. There is no child in the Hyuga family who is stronger than her, and the children of the ninja school are not to mention." Hanabi was already practicing gentle fist while they were still learning the basics in school. So it wasn't on the same level. Chapter 695 Stop. The Lessons of the Ancestors. Hinata's words roughly mean the same thing. Hyuga family need to undergo more severe tests from an early age. And Hanabi is another amazing genius of the Hyuga family after Neji. And received professional training. Those people in the Konoha village ninja school are not Hanabi's opponents at all. And Hanabi himself didn't seem to shy away, just shrugged. Ah, no modesty at all. Ino also smiled helplessly. After all, Hanabi's helpless eyes showed the helplessness that he had no rivals. Ino suggested, "Or just find your elders or something. Choji, Kiba and the others seem to be idle right now. Who else is here?" Ino is already counting down his former companions and those who are idle at home. Neji sighed and said, "Don't come up with bad ideas, wife. Now the village is being rebuilt, and he is busy establishing contacts with the 4 great powers. In less than 80 days, the 5 shadow talks will start again, and many things are going on. Kiba and Choji don't have much time to rest for processing." "Ah, haha, that's right, I know, I was negligent." Ino stuck out his tongue, not having any good ideas. Who would have thought that Naruto's mouth twitched? Looking at Hanabi's confident smile, Naruto seemed to have made a decision. "Then let me arrange a person. Don't worry, he's only 1 year older than Huo. That guy has time now." After Naruto said it, Ino was a little unconvinced. "Oh, who is it?" "Tomorrow you will know." Naruto was mysterious. Hinata said, "Now Hanabi is not only a genius ninja in the village, but also the #1 genius, and is far ahead of others." Naruto said more confidently, "Don't worry, this guy is definitely not the kind of person who can be pulled away." Everyone looked at each other. The next day, everyone gathered again. But today, Neji is not there, and it is said that he is going to the Hokage building to handle the handover of work with Tsunade. "After all, I'm going to be an agent Hokage," Ino said. Hinata was a little surprised. Ino explained, "Don't you know? Naruto officially took office a year later, and now he just accepts internal affairs. Neji has to deal with foreign affairs. After all, foreign affairs were me and Neji's envoy to Kumogakure village for Konoha. The strong power that the village is fighting for tilde." Speaking of this, Ino's face glowed. Konoha village has never been weaker than the 5 great powers, but its diplomacy has always been weak. That time when Neji sent Kumogakure village to win a big victory in foreign policy, and also recaptured Hazashi, who belonged to the Hyuga clan. The corpse has also competed for face for the Hyuga family. Since then, the 5 major countries have more or less given our country of fire some face, and this is the benefit of developed diplomacy tilde. So, after the 4th World War, the major powers have new influences, and the morale is like a rainbow. Our Konoha village has also consumed a lot to complete the reconstruction. If we give up diplomacy at this time or do not do well, it will have a very bad influence." Quote. Ino's explanation was very clear, and Hinata nodded again and again. They're here. Hinata suddenly noticed something. Ino also frowned slightly, and also felt a clearer chakra. "This is." I saw that Hanabi, who was behind them, came out slowly, and after that, several people looked at the gate of the practice ground together. One tall and one short figure stood in front of everyone. It was Naruto and Konohamaru. Seeing Naruto and Konohamaru walking in, the two were in high spirits, and their temperament revealed confidence and sunshine. Hanabi's face, not only a slight yuhi, but quickly dissipated. No one noticed, and no one knew why. This is, hey, isn't this Konohamaru? Ino laughed immediately. She smiled and went to greet him, while Naruto and Konohamaru came in 3 steps. It's been so long. You guys, Hanabi, you're here. Naruto's mouth twitched. Hinata glanced at Hanabi and seemed extremely satisfied with the appearance of the Konohamaru too. She said, so the suitable sparring opponent that Naruto-kun said is Konohamaru. Konohamaru is the grandson of the 3rd generation of Hokage, and he is also very talented. At this time, inside the Hokage building, Neji sniffed, looking tired. What's wrong? Tsunade asked gently, looking at Naruto's lackluster appearance. She was very concerned. It's okay, maybe I had a cold last night. Neji explained. However, he did not feel troubled. Although his strength was strong enough, he would still suffer from minor illnesses like a mortal body from time to time. But at the end of the day, Neji itself doesn't feel uncomfortable or painful, which is probably the weird part. And she looked at Tsunade, and now Tsunade has regained her youthful face and beauty. Looking closely, the skin that can be broken by blowing bullets can already be comparable to that of young beauties. No one can believe that this woman is an old woman in her 50s. But Neji noticed that the square mark on Tsunade's head had disappeared at that moment. Creating regeneration. That way your chakra will drain faster. Neji said. Feeling was a chuckle, and he said, don't worry, just maintaining a small amount of chakra every day is enough. After so many years, the speed of my chakra storage has become very fast. Of course, the chakra consumption is equally fast. The sound of footsteps of Pata and Pata came from outside. Squeak. The door opened, and 2 old men with clothes hanging on the ground walked in slowly. 2 old guys, a man and a woman, have wrinkles on their faces, but their expressions are already heavy and serious. Neji knew them as high-level advisors to the 2 Konoha villages. 3rd generation Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, Kaharu Udatane and Homura Mitokado. Where's Naruto? Is Naruto not here? Homura Mitokado asked immediately. And Tsunade sneered. This kind of thing has nothing to do with Naruto. I'm still the 6th generation Hokage. Naruto is not in the position yet. Her tone was not good, because she could see that these 2 guys just wanted Naruto to be in the position as soon as possible. At this time, Neji also fully understood why Tsunade had to let himself meddle in the internal affairs of the village despite everything. Naruto's simple and incompetent guy, although he is very suitable to be a Hokage, but he is very likely to be used by these guys behind him and become a simple puppet. That's why Neji's stimulant is needed to help Tsunade complete her final mission in office. Speaking of which, then what are you here to stop? Neji said with a smile. Kaharu Udatane was taken aback and asked, how can you say blocking? What we give you and give you feelings are all lessons from our ancestors. Neji shrugged and said, well, I'm not going to make a fool of myself, this is it. Chapter 696 Check and Balance. Consultant's Power. What did you say? Kaharu Udatane is also a high-level advisor to Konoha. Regardless of the qualifications placed here, even if Neji has done a good job in guarding the ninja world, in the ninja world of the System Forest, the first-level official crushes people to death. Begging Neji so respectfully, in their opinion, they have already made a big concession. Isn't it? I thought you guys would pass the buck. It seems that you are now determined to show your presence. Neji is a young man after all. And relying on his strong IQ and ability, he has basically never suffered any setbacks. In other words, in the eyes of Neji now, there is no small difficulty that can stump him. And in his eyes, it is all the big troubles that are about to come to the ninja world. The role of these consultants is to constantly shape your small troubles that may become hidden dangers in private, and register them in time to eradicate them. As for whether it can be eradicated, it depends on the implementation. Neji, they're advisors anyway. Sighed, Tsunade's tone was also a little weaker. Over the years, Tsunade has changed from his original integrity and his momentum has eased. These two guys have really contributed a lot to the village since Danzo. First, the Fourth Ninja World War pacified the 3 or 4 times of civilian protest frenzy in the village. Everyone in the village did not understand the scale of the Ninja World War at that time. The resources in many villages are given priority to the ninjas on the battlefield, but many people do not understand. So some small tricks were carried out behind the scenes, and thanks to these two consultants running around overnight, the further development of the matter was prevented. In addition, as the 2 oldest people in the village, they can be said to have witnessed the development of Konoha village. Although I can't contribute enough experience to the future of Konoha village, I have witnessed history and can personally correct some of the history that has been distorted by people. From this point of view, no one can do it except the 2 of them now in Konoha village. Even if they can do it, the villagers will only believe what they see with their own eyes. Oh, it's a consultant, it's a consultant. Neji was not angry, but although he was a little angry, it was because of the combination of past guilt. When Danzo was still there, they were also forced to do some stupid things because of Danzo's brainwashing and Koto Amatsukumi's intentional or unintentional guidance. After Danzo's death, the 2 of them also made substantial contributions to the village of Konoha. Those decades of old-fashioned experience are really not something that simple talent can solve. So Neji still has a reason in his heart, that is, it is not good to do something with these 2 old things no matter what, and to be a young man who respects the old and loves the young. Consultants also have the power of advisors. Hyuga Neji. Homura Mitokado was silent for a while, and finally spoke. Although you have merit in protecting the ninja world, Naruto and Sasuke have also worked hard. This ninja world is not heroic, it can be supported by only one person. I admit that you are indeed a bit special. However, the management of Konoha village is not something that can be accomplished with so-called talent. Homura Mitokado finished speaking. Neji was only amused. He touched the corner of his mouth lightly and gave Homura Mitokado a look. This time, Homura Mitokado was also a little surprised. He has not been stared at by a young man with such murderous eyes, and he suddenly felt that the person in front of him was extremely dangerous. Neji asked, "So, do you know how I'm going to arrange it?" Neji's questioning left the 2 of them at a loss. Neji chuckled and said, "It's really interesting. If you don't even understand my plan, what are you talking about to stop me? I think you 2 are just sitting around when you're full. Maybe you'll be fine if you're hungry for a few days. Hyuga Neji, don't be fooling around. This thing is really important." Kaharu Udatane watched as he wanted to negotiate further and further away from him, but he had no chance to refute. Just letting Neji grab hold of their words. Speaking of which, what is it for? What is the so-called lesson of the immortals, the Uchiha clan? Neji said casually, and Zhuanqing Kaharu was taken aback. She hurriedly stepped forward and said, "Neji, you really are a smart kid. Since you've guessed it all, we won't have to bother explaining it anymore." If Neji wasn't a Byakugan himself, he really wanted to show his ugly Byakugan to these 2 guys right away. No need to explain, let me guess. Seeing that neither of them had any major opinions, Neji started. The genocide that the Uchiha clan experienced in the end was ultimately under your hands. No matter what reason you find, it was you who passed the news on Danzo during the grounding period. That guy is a failed high level, although you can excuse yourselves, at least in front of those people who have been fooled by you to decide children, you are also a failed high level in front of them. Quote. So, as a failed high level, at this time when this ninja world is being saved by children and the new generation of ninjas, as an older generation. You can't sit still. Your value must be reflected in some places. To declare, but I'd better advise you, but don't let yourself be saved in your life because of your temporary greed. What Neji said was actually a bit inscrutable. At this time, Homura Mitokado finally lost his breath and sighed heavily. That's right, it's true that we don't deserve to stand up and ask people's heroes for something at this time. But Konoha village is now under a very embarrassing threat. The status quo of other villages is either re-establishing shadows or cultivating strong ninjas with me. But what about Konoha village? You have also been in Konoha village for a year, and you probably understand this. Guys, in peace, you just wait for death, right? Also, this is where our consultants should go, that is, when we clearly see a problem where we are living, we still have to give the most pertinent advice. I have to say, this old man still has some words. So, to ask and block me, just to check and balance some relationship. Hee hee. Neji's mouth twitched, feeling a little amused. But he still kept his mouth shut, and now this situation seems to be urgent. What he is going to do, if controlled by the advisor, will indeed have an impact, so Neji does not dare to pass it so easily. Tsunade, who was on the side, spoke in the middle. Actually, the consultant's meaning is not wrong. This is a black heart. Other villages, the shadows of the past have gathered themselves, and there is no sign of helping the ninjas of the new era. Didn't you say that too, Neji? Tsunade looked at Neji with soft eyes. Chapter 697 Master. Famous Teacher. Neji's heart skipped a beat, and Tsunade's words to himself still worked. Just this soft gaze made Neji's attitude much better. Maybe that's the difference between the people Neji cares about and the advisors who don't. Tsunade explained. The two advisors are concerned about the development of Konoha village, so they have been bothering them for a long time. The two of them have nothing to covet. If something is wrong in itself, you can refuse to communicate with them. Yes, but now the situation. Tsunade looked at Neji with some embarrassment. Neji knew, it seems that Tsunade must have been bought by these two guys somewhere, otherwise, Tsunade is talking about his advisors throughout. Then what is their purpose? Neji asked nonchalantly. Tsunade glanced at the two helplessly, and explained, the Hyuga clan now has completely overshadowed the Uchiha clan back then. The Uchiha clan sent the entire clan to the death row because of their arrogance. I don't know if it will be given a new definition or not. But right there, the Uchiha clan that used to be a bloody reality. Also, speaking of Uchiha, Kaharu Udatane also seemed to remember something, his eyes blurred. The Uchiha Madara back then was the real horror. Homura Mitokado took over and explained, because it is too powerful, the tyranny of being alone. I want to use my own extreme means to avoid the solution I don't want. At that time, strength was the way to overthrow others. Uchiha Madara overwhelmed almost everyone, except Hashirama. But his masterpieces are now everywhere in the world of ninjas. It is said that in the battle that year, only the chakra dispatched would destroy the entire mountain landscape. That terrifying power made everyone fear the power of Madara and the power of Konoha. The two advisors looked at each other, it was obvious. Neji, who is so powerful now, will go down the same path of tyranny as Madara at that time. That is to use his own strength to make the diplomatic image of Konoha village become arrogant and unreasonable, and only maintain the surface peace, so that the entire thriving ninja world has once again become torn apart. Tsunade nodded and said, Neji, sorry. This time, I think the two advisors are right. Neji, on the other hand, was silent, not speaking. You become like Uchiha Madara too. However, Neji has not yet reached Madara's step, and now Neji is only facing the same choice as Madara. This time, the other side. The practice field, Hanabi was ready. I will do my best, Master. Hanabi murmured on the side of his mouth, staring straight at the opponent who was about to fight him. Konohamaru. I didn't have an impression at first, only because he was the grandson of the third generation of Hokage. He was famous, but after that, he seemed to have been with Naruto for a while, and he didn't know his specific strength. Anyway, when I was studying as a ninja, according to others, it was very bad. On this side, Hanabi was seriously preparing for the battle practice, while her opponent, Konohamaru, was scratching her head, full of disdain. Really, Big Brother Naruto really asked me to fight someone. But this is too bad, isn't she a girl? This is. Although Konohamaru scratches his head shyly every time he meets Hanabi's eyes, he knows that the real battle is not just a few glances. Just looking at this girl, Konohamaru, makes me nervous. Do you want to fight her? Stop chattering, Konohamaru. You're just a kid, there's no gender. Naruto finally lived the way he hated, a grown-up appearance. And Konohamaru kept his mouth shut and muttered, I'm 14 years old. Naruto brother confessed to Sakura's sister when he was 12. As Konohamaru spoke, Naruto was startled and almost choked on his own saliva. And Hinata's face is cloudy and uncertain, a little embarrassed. Ino smiled embarrassingly, and hurriedly smiled to comfort Hinata. Okay, don't talk nonsense. If you can win the showdown with Hanabi, you won't need to take the exam and will be promoted to Chunin. What? Konohamaru stunned and widened her eyes. Now he is still Genin, because of some special reasons, he has been stuck in this rank of Genin. Logically speaking, it would be very difficult for him to pass the next Chunin exam. After all, Mengwang and Udon in his team had mediocre records and no response. Because of the Fourth Ninja World War, the focus of the exam is on teamwork, and this is their weakness. Naruto made this condition, and Konohamaru was not stupid, and immediately ignited his fighting spirit. I see. And Hanabi looked at Konohamaru, who was facing the sun for a while and the rain for a while, and his expression was always indifferent. Come on, Konohamaru. Hanabi is the most powerful female genius in the Hyuga clan, and you are my apprentice. You should be a master if you are a famous teacher. Don't lose my face. Naruto's face was full of energy, and he seemed to be saying a proud voice like, take a good look at my apprentice later. While Hinata was excited to see the battle between the two sides, Ino just smiled mysteriously and narrowed his eyes. Then, let's get started. Huh. The practice begins. Naruto steps back. The next moment, Hanabi launched an attack with a determined look. Very fierce. Konohamaru immediately realized that this would be a tough battle, because if the opponent must be very confident, even if he knew that he was a disciple of the hero Naruto, he would still attack so directly. Then this blow must be a combination of speed and strength. You don't want me to have a chance to counterattack, do you? Konoha pills are prejudged and hand-sealed immediately. Shadow clone. Boom, bang. One after another clone, a dozen clones. Charged forward, and Hanabi was only suspicious for a moment, still hitting the gentle fist with precision in his hand. Boom. Bang, tilde. One by one, and then one by one. Until more than 30 shadow clone were all solved by Hanabi, and Konohamaru was also forced to the corner. Only to this extent. Hanabi was puzzled, not sarcastic. Who knew that Konohamaru bit Kiba and said, you've been fooled. I saw a figure rushing out of the ground, it was Konohamaru. Breaking out of the ground, Hanabi's jaw is about to focus. Bang. Sound, Hanabi slapped the head of Konohamaru who was rushing up. Bang, tilde. Hanabi didn't look away, and the shadow clone disappeared on the spot. And Konohamaru just stood there in amazement, beyond amazed. However, Naruto was surprised by Hanabi's unparalleled combat ability. How much more than a genius. It's not like a genin at all, and it can even completely surpass the level of Chunin. At this time, Ino smiled and said, of course, because Hanabi is also a famous master. Chapter 698 Arrange. Neji's macro. What? Naruto was a little surprised, thinking that his name was loud enough. Konohamaru became Naruto's apprentice, and it was already a fortunate thing for him. In the future, under the name of Naruto's apprentice, I am afraid that even the entire ninja world will be able to know his name. With the master Naruto in front, how dare Ino say that Hanabi has a famous teacher? In the end, who has such a big name, can actually compete with himself? Naruto expressed some disbelief. Ino, you said that Hanabi is also a famous teacher. Naruto looked in disbelief. Ino shrugged and smiled softly at Naruto. Naruto suddenly breathed a sigh of relief and said with a smile, "It looks like it's just casual talk, right?" He took a deep breath and explained, "That guy Sasuke probably won't accept apprentices." And over there, Konohamaru burst out with a powerful chakra. Bang! There was a slight tremor in the training ground. Byakugan opened early by Hinata. This. Smoke cleared, and Naruto asked quickly, "What's wrong?" Hinata. Hinata swallowed and said, "Konoha pills condense the chakra directly, and use the hand seal in the air to fill the chakra in the air with soot." Naruto froze slightly, frowning slightly. This move is very lethal. And Ino was also a little surprised and asked, "Isn't that Asuma-sensei's move?" Konohamaru. "It's just practice." Naruto was a little panicked. After all, this is the apprentice he taught himself. If he hurt Hinata's sister, I'm afraid something big will happen. Kaden, fire style. When the dust dissipated, everyone could see clearly. When Konohamaru asked the hand seal to release Kaden, fire style, to detonate the surrounding area, Hanabi hit the acupoint firmly. "Your chakra has failed." Hanabi's eyes were so confident. At this moment, Naruto narrowed his eyes slightly. This look, he was very familiar. But who exactly? He can't remember anything. Gentle Fist Law 8 trigrams 16 palms. 16 palms? Ino asked. Hinata explained, "This is Hanabi's own move, because the speed is limited, and the traditional 64 palms takes too long, and it must be launched under conditions that the enemy is difficult to move. So Hanabi simplified it to 64 palms. The simple version of the palm, although the number is small and the strength is not strong, but each acupuncture point is the most accurate." Just a split second, Hanabi hit 16 palms. Konohamaru's whole body was knocked out. Naruto frowned slightly, as if he noticed something, and suddenly understood. The corner of his relieved mouth curled into a smile. "That's it, great job, Konohamaru." Naruto's sudden praise made Hinata puzzled. "Why, what did Konohamaru do?" "Look at it." I saw Konohamaru fell to the ground, rolled several somersaults in a row, and turned into smoke with a bang. "This is shadow clone." Hanabi was a little surprised. She didn't expect that the smoke just now was just a trick. Naruto explained, "It turned out that the soot was just a feint attack, but it was actually to disrupt Byakugan's vision. The chakra released was mixed with his real body, and shadow clone was used to replace his real body. In a situation where he could not see clearly, Byakugan only if you can tell the direction and flow rate of chakra, you can't judge shadow clone. In terms of combat IQ, this kid still looks like me." Naruto smiled proudly. "I'm here." I saw a bang in the smoke, and Konohamaru appeared. Rasengan. Rasengan in one hand, he rushed forward with a few steps. Hanabi was too late for the hand seal. Naruto couldn't help but start clapping, but Hanabi's mouth twitched. "It's always the real body now, isn't it?" I saw her gesture sinking and her body began to rotate. "Dance." Gentle Fist Law 8 trigrams revolving heaven palm. Zzzz. Everyone was shocked. "I see." Inside Hokage's office, Neji kept his head down. Under Tsunade's persuasion, Neji calmly accepted these two advisors who looked very upset. Homura Mitokado said, "First of all, thank you for taking our advice." "I didn't say," Neji said. The two frowned slightly. Neji continued. I just promised the 6th generation to talk to you calmly. I don't intend to approve your ideas, but I will persuade you. And Kaharu Udatane said, then I want to see how you convince us. Neji chuckled and said, it's very simple, because the power of this matter rests with me. You have the power to suggest, but I have the power to decide. If I have to do this, you can't do anything to me, right? Neji's words made the two look at each other. You are crossing the river and demolishing the bridge. The fact that you became the high-level executive of Konoha village was also approved by us. It doesn't matter, even without the two of you, I'll go to where I belong. Don't be involved here. Okay, Neji. Tsunade sighed. She felt sorry for Neji. She and even these two old guys have a lot of means in Konoha village. Neji is just complacent. No one is sure if Neji will suddenly encounter some unexpected things. And these two old guys have been stable consultants in Konoha village for more than 40 years, and they are naturally more stable. However, she still spoke ill of the two advisors. It's the age of young people. The relics of the old times have given you the qualifications to show up, which is the biggest concession. This world of ninja world does not have your future, but there is a future for children. Children, there will be a future of your own, instead of following your old path to a failed piece. Uchiha Obito, isn't it the devil bred by your pedantic political ideas? Tsunade's sudden hardness made the two look at each other. Convincing Neji together. Why do you suddenly regret it? Kaharu Udatane, already angry with Yuhi, took 2 steps back. But she didn't have anything to refute. As a senior, she naturally knew Tsunade's behavior better. No matter how hard she tried to persuade her, it was meaningless. It's just that Homura Mitokado was more sensible, saying, I understand your feelings, but these are the meaning of the daimyo. Tsunade said angrily again, and came up with the name of the daimyo to check and balance us, isn't it? Homura Mitokado shook his head and said, no, at least we have to get a reason. That is what is Neji going to do. Although we can roughly understand and predict his style, the direction he is going. The two advisors looked at the silent Neji in unison. After a long time, Neji asked, you want to know about the foreign affairs plan of Konoha village, right? You want to know my next arrangement. That's right. Several people waited with bated breath. Neji narrowed his eyes and smiled softly. Then, he said, the arrangement, of course, is a grand plan. It is a very exciting decision. His eyes were full of heroic gestures. Chapter 699 Young. Future after death. Uplifting. What uplifting news. Homura Mitokado was a little excited for a while. With Neji for a long time, they naturally understood Neji's character. Although this guy's strength and actual combat experience are very mature and powerful, the decision is definitely not the so-called mature genre. It's very random. Regardless of the fact that Neji's random decisions bring some benefits to the village from time to time, but from the point of view of their orthodox senior management, it is a very strange decision. Even from experience, Neji's decisions have brought positive changes to the village, but it also hindered the development of the village from some perspectives. So I don't dare to let Neji's temperament be like that. I want to unify the ninja world. Neji said those words. Even Tsunade was in a cold sweat. This is something her grandfather, who is called the god of ninjas, has not been able to accomplish. What even the 6 paths immortals couldn't accomplish. Neji actually opened his mouth again. You boy, really, talk nonsense again. Kaharu Udatane has been with Neji over the years, and he also understands that Neji is a very powerful junior despite his bad attitude. In fact, I have long recognized Neji in my heart, but any ninja of the older generation sees this as a nonsense. Therefore, she also changed her attitude painstakingly, trying to persuade this passionate young man. Neji, Konoha is a big country with a lot of hard work. It is true that Konoha has the power to dominate the ninja world from beginning to end. I understand what you are thinking about, but... Kaharu Udatane's eyes became lonely, and he didn't know if he missed something. Peace, in the eyes of your group of children, may only be the so-called stability, only starting from yourself and slowly expanding the scope. However, no matter how strong your strength is, and how young you are to reach a certain peak, there is a kind of things, you certainly won't be able to understand it now. Kaharu Udatane suddenly reasoned with such a soft attitude, but Neji was not used to it. He was all ears, wanting to see what fart Kaharu Udatane could put out that was worth smelling. After pondering for a while, Kaharu Udatane said, "That's us old people, there is no future to speak of. You new generation ninjas have a very bright future no matter what. And we old people are about to go to Earth, and of course we won't consider it from our own perspective. For the future of the ninja world, we are better than you. See more clearly." Neji's eyes widened when he heard this. He hesitated for a long time and sighed. Sure enough, fart is fart, not worth smelling. Neji pinched the bridge of her nose, feeling helpless. But Kaharu Udatane said firmly, the unification of the ninja world is not a matter of yearning for peace at all. The wish of Uchiha Madara in the past was like this, even if it was the original ninja god, Tsunade's grandfather Senju Hashirama, also known as the first-generation Hokage. If he wanted to forcibly unify the ninja world at that time, he would definitely be opposed by other villages. Even if he tried so hard to maintain the peace of the ninja world, he still failed in the end. Quote, "When the ninja coalition was formed, it did rely on your reputation and arrangements to make them a lot more honest. The unity scene that the ninja world has never seen appeared. But don't forget, it was because at that time we had common enemy." Having said this, Homura Mitokado coughed lightly and said, "Yes, there are no enemies now. I'm talking about a common enemy. Our enemies are just each other. Neji, you are an expert in actual combat, but if you conduct diplomatic politics as our specialty." In that case. Neji spoke up. So where did Kagaya come from? What is her purpose? What is the source of chakra? Where did those powerful forces come from? And where are they going? Which of these questions can you figure out? Neji's words caused the two to look at each other. A long time, Homura Mitokado said, "I know that you have specialized research on chakra, but this has nothing to do with the topic we are talking about today. We just hope you can see the situation clearly. Konoha village and the country of fire need to converge now." Neji narrowed his eyes, and the careless arrogance would make the other four powers unite against the Fire Nation. This, he has fully experienced in Infinite Tsukuyomi. That kind of false peace, Neji had seen. It is precisely because he has seen that false peace that Neji wants to create a real peace, but those plans, speaking now, are hard to convince these two people who are not keeping up with the times. At this moment, one of Tsunade's jade hands reached out and stroked Neji's forehead. "Are you all right?" Tsunade's pure eyes really didn't look like a person of that age, but rather like a beautiful lady. Neji is much calmer all of a sudden. "Yes, this world is not only about these troubles, there are many other pure things that can be done." All of a sudden, his thoughts became clear. No matter what he did, he would just take the easiest and most needed path. At that time, the so-called mind cultivation of Vulcan, I am afraid that he also wanted to remove the impetuousness in his heart. Whether it is actual combat, or management awareness as a peaker. Neji calmed down the impetuousness in his heart and said, "You too, first of all, as the foreign affairs manager of Konoha village, who has taken over now, I thank you for your suggestion, which is also your power. But I reject your suggestion, and naturally this is also my power." Quote. Kaharu Udatane was somewhat dissatisfied. And Neji immediately waved his hand and said, "Hey, don't interrupt first." "But it doesn't matter. If you don't agree, you don't agree. I'm still willing to convince the two of you a little bit. As for what you think after listening to it, it's none of my business. First of all, my purpose is indeed to unify the ninja world, and the current situation is indeed similar to when Senju Hashirama and Uchiha Madara established Konoha village. Now the four major countries have learned about the Fire Country and the various reform methods of Konoha village, and they are all in progress. School. It can be said that our Konoha village is unprecedentedly powerful. If we don't choose to unify the ninja world now, then the ninja world will be just a small fight for at least the next few decades, and there are various ways to maintain peace. Quote. But are such beneficiaries really the ninjas of the new generation of future generations? Neji's eyes looked sharply at the two advisors. The two of you, high-soundingly said that you don't think about yourself, so why are you still so actively participating in internal affairs? Isn't it just want to leave a name? A good name. You are wrong, it is young people who have no future. They are young, they don't think about the future, and they dare to fight. It happens to be you old people, cowardly, he only thinks about the so-called future, and even the world after his death. It's really annoying. Chapter 700 Game. Ingenuity is worse than brute force. Homura Mitokado and Kaharu Udatane also struggled to speak. But it seems that Neji's idea is still very stubborn, and Neji is right. They do have the power to advise, but they really don't have the power to force Neji to accept this power. Even if they are threatened with a name, it seems that Neji is not afraid at all. Because this time Neji not only saved the Konoha village in the battle, but also saved the ninja world and the daimyo. And they don't know why the daimyo are so persistent towards Neji. You all know that, right? The daimyo should work together to arrange things in the ninja world according to my wishes, right? You mean? The two were a little puzzled. Do you think that the resources and attention given to ninjas by those 5 major countries came out of thin air? Do you think that it is because of your trivial credit that the big names give you smiles? Neji's words made the two of them humble. Indeed, they know nothing about it. I only know that after the war, the daimyo suddenly attached great importance to the ninja world, and only guessed that this ninja world war aroused their vigilance. And Neji remembered the deal Neji made with the daimyo at that time, after shattering Yurashi's ambitions. It was in order to complete that deal that Neji did everything in his power to destroy Otsutsuki Kagaya's revival ambitions. He, who wants a stable and peaceful life so much, actually doesn't want to be in this muddy water. But in order to complete the agreement with the daimyo, let the whole world be dominated by the ninja world according to their own meaning. This is the ending that Neji wants. Because Neji had already seen the ending of Uchiha Madara and Senju Hashirama, and later learned about the experience of the 6 Paths Immortals. He clearly understands that strength is not the way to guide the world. Just one of the tools. It takes some skills to twist the entire ninja world into a single rope. And that's what Neji has to do, because Neji probably knew that Kagaya was making an army. White Zetsu's combat effectiveness is not strong enough, but Kagaya has such a strong ability to create an army, so at least prove one thing. Kagaya wants to resist or fight against, must require a large number of people. And he can't destroy the ninja world without doing 2 things. What Neji has to do now is to conquer the entire ninja world. Now, it seems, there is still enough time, so Neji must do it and try it out. I told the 2 advisors about the events at that time, and the 2 of them immediately shut up. Even the food and clothing parents were won by Neji. What qualifications do they have to ask for or teach Neji to do things? So, even if you have your own way as you say, what is the way? Homura Mitokado asked. Neji exhaled and said slowly, these are none of your business. All in all, I won't use force. But Kaharu Udatane squinted his eyes and muttered, I don't really believe it, what proof do you have? At this moment, Neji's eyes flashed with murderous intent. If I kill you 2 now, do you think I'll be punished? In Neji's eyes, a determined murderous aura. Kaharu Udatane squinted his eyes all at once, took a step back, and almost stumbled to the ground. Neji withdrew that look again, and said slowly, I haven't done anything yet, just tolerating you in this ninja world. This is enough to prove it. This time, the two looked at each other in dismay, and no longer dared to say more. Tsunade on the side also breathed a sigh of relief. Sure enough, in the game with the unreasonable advisor, Neji did a good job. Ingenuity is worse than brute force. With her deliberate theories, there was always room for consultants, but they were the ones who liked to push the envelope. If you only think that you are thinking of this for the village, you can completely take back your trust in everyone, but it is impossible to use Neji's brute force. After all, in the face of absolute power, any bells and whistles are just meaningless decorations. Bang! Fireworks exploded and slowly dissipated. The exploding sparks flew away, and the faint whirlwind blew away the last smear of dirty air. Konohamaru lay down on the ground in embarrassment. The eyes that were originally radiant were already full of exhaustion and despair. On the other side, is Hyuga Hanabi, who is completely intact, with firm and serious eyes. Not far away, Naruto, who was watching this scene, dropped his jaw in surprise. I didn't expect it to be so strong, Hanabi. He should not be disappointed. After all, this Hyuga Hanabi is also Hinata's younger sister, and should have a closer relationship with him than Konohamaru. But after all, Konohamaru represents himself and is his own apprentice. He thought he had taught enough. And now Hyuga Hanabi can completely abuse Konohamaru. Ino was also a little surprised, and murmured, Hanabi's current strength can already be tested by Jonin, right? Hinata covered her mouth with a smile and said, she hasn't even taken the Chunin exam. After all, the village has been rebuilding for the past 2 years, and it's up to now. Some parts of the village destroyed by pain have it's not fully built yet. Is that too soon? Ino rubbed his chin. The new round of Chunin exams should come before the Five Shadows talks. Of course, this kind of thing no longer needs people from their class to participate, so it is not so important. But for these young ninjas to come, this is something that needs to be paid attention to, so they are eager to become stronger and prove themselves. But the Chunin exam is about teamwork. Even if Hanabi has individual strength, he has to test his team strength. Naruto said with a forced smile. And over there, Konohamaru has stood up tenaciously, with a look of helplessness on his face. He looked apologetic to Naruto, but Naruto smiled bitterly. It's okay, Hanabi is a genius of the Hyuga clan after all. Speaking of genius, Hanabi's master is the real genius of our Hyuga clan. By the way, you said that she is also a famous teacher. Who is it? The Hyuga family, could it be? Ino smiled and said, ah, yes. I also heard that Hanabi's master was Neji. What? Naruto widened his eyes, surprised. Neji would even accept apprentices. He looked at Hanabi's well-behaved lowly, and couldn't help but imagine why Neji would accept Hanabi as his apprentice. Ahem, that's how it is. Naruto's helpless look just now took back a lot. He looked at Konohamaru with a determined smile. Then he gave the same thumbs and smiling faces as Might Guy, and said, well done, Konohamaru. As expected of my apprentice. Konohamaru was startled and immediately moved to tears. Really, big brother Naruto? No, Master Naruto. Looking at this scene, Hanabi just broke down in cold sweat and turned to leave.